Public comments will be held at 2 points during the evening, and that then, since we are on school grounds, please no smoking or vaping pursuant to our policy, both either here in the building or outside. We're going to rise now for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I understand we have some students from Dugan who are going to lead us in our pledge today, right? Oh, sorry. Give me a second. I've been instructed we have to call roll call. Hold on. But thank you for being so quick. Roll call, Mr. Caravella.
Mrs. Palomo?
Here.
Mrs. Carrero?
Here.
Mrs. Gandhi? Mr. Hyatt?
Here.
Mr. Olansky?
Here.
Mrs. Mendez? Dr. Miskowitz?
Here. Sorry.
Mrs. Seward?
Here.
And Mr. Cohen?
Here. Okay. I got so excited about getting our meeting started. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And who is going to lead us tonight? Oh, thank you so much. We're all yours.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would you mind telling us who you are?
I'm Fiona Pollock.
I'm Abigail Pollock. I'm Juliana Belomo. I'm Gabriella Belomo.
Thank you so much for leading us tonight in our Pledge of Allegiance. So we're going to get started. I would like to just take a moment of silence, and I'm going to read something as we get started. This is in recognition of a loss that the district or the community suffered recently. The Marlboro Township Public Schools will be observing a moment of silence tonight due to an unexpected and sudden passing of Maria Marocco, former Marlboro Township Public School student and daughter of Jill Strachey, former Board of Education member. Maria attended Dugan Elementary School, where she was awarded the Citizenship Award. She then attended Marlboro Middle School, where she was awarded the English Honors Medal upon graduation. She then went on to attend Communications High School in Wall, where she was selected to be a member of the National Honor Society. Maria was a passionate and talented writer. She studied literature at the College of New Jersey, earning her degree from the Honors College. The community and her family lost Maria far too soon on May 7th, 2025. And although she was young, she always possessed an old soul. With an artist's heart and a philosopher's mind, Maria felt things more deeply than most. Please now join me in a moment of silence in honor of Maria. Thank you. Okay, let's just get started with our agenda. Mr. Malone, staff respect certificates.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As we do every month, we recognize our staff members who go above and beyond. So this evening, we have 2 staff members that I'd like to recognize. And I'll have a little, some words for each staff member. This first one is actually being recognized by a colleague. Thank you, Mrs. Barbara Beyer, for providing this for us on behalf of Brittany O'Donnell. I have been watching the board meetings and enjoyed seeing Marlboro staff members being recognized for their dedication and contribution to the success of our students. I was welcomed by the DeFino staff in September, which was a comfort experience coming from Memorial. The 5th grade teachers are a team of professionals who work together to create a positive learning environment for their students. One particular teacher I have the privilege of working with is Brittany O'Donnell, a 5th grade special education teacher who works miracles with her class. She confronts each challenge with compassion, kindness, and makes her students feel proud and confident. Too many times we are dealing with negativity. I would like to bring some positivity to my experience here at DeFino. Congratulations, Ms. O'Donnell. And our second respect certificate it actually comes from another colleague. Thank you, Mrs. Farabono, for recognizing your school principal, Mr. Giratano. And here's the email I received. I would like to nominate Anthony Giratano for a respect certificate from the Robertsville school community. Always a professional, kind, courteous, and respectful. Mr. G has changed the culture and climate of Robertsville for the better. Furthermore, his consideration for the safety of the students and staff is remarkable. Never placing undue stress on the staff, he steps right into the situation and takes control. Decisions are made without hesitation, and information is communicated respectfully. I could give a multitude of examples, however, the short version is Anthony Giratano respectfully deserves this recognition. Congratulations, Mr. G.
Thank you, Mr. Malone, for the staff respect certificates. Let's move on to our next item, which is student recognition and respect certificates.
Yes. So this month we have students from Frank J. Dugan Elementary School. Mr. Pagliara, would you like to come up and introduce your program?
There it is. There you go. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Malone, Mr. Cohen, Board of Education members, fellow district administrators, colleagues, and the Marlboro community members both in attendance and watching live on YouTube. First, I'd like to thank you for the invitation to tonight's meeting. You are in store for a treat. I am accompanied by Dugan's Vice Principal, Mr. Justin Lavoie, and a remarkable educator, Dugan's Media Literacy Specialist, Mr. Jay Seibert. Jay's passion for science, technology, media, and how he ties them into literacy will be on full display this evening. Mr. Seibert has invited several of our Dugan Dragons who participated in this year's science fair. They will share about their meaningful experience designing and exploring experiments or scientific demonstrations for our school community to learn about. After our students share about their projects, we will play a video that Mr. Seibert prepared with live footage recapping our school event, which we are highlighting tonight. So without further ado, I'd like to invite up Mr. Seibert and our Dugan Dragons.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jay Seibert. I am here on behalf of all of the amazing students, families, and faculty at Frank J. Dugan Elementary School, where I have the pleasure of serving as the teacher of computer literacy and share my passion for science, technology, and media with students from kindergarten to 5th grade. Tonight, I've been tasked with the responsibility to showcase our annual Dugan Science Fair that was held on May 9th. With the help of our incredible PTO, the Dugan Science Fair is one of our biggest events. This year, we had nearly 200 attendees. We had volunteers from the Girl Scouts of America robotics team and the Teen Action Committee, as well as small businesses from Marlboro and surrounding communities that focus on STEM education. I brought some students that participated in the science fair along with me to share some more about the event, followed by a short video that captures the spirit of scientific inquiry. We'll start on this end here.
Hi, my name is Abigail Pollack. I am in 2nd grade. My teacher's name is Mrs. Coster. My favorite part of the science fair is getting to explain my project to everyone.
Hi, my name is Fiona Pollack. I'm in 4th grade in Miss Guglielmo's homeroom and Mrs. Watson's science class. My favorite part of the science fair was sharing my project and seeing other people's projects.
Hi, my name is Gabby. I am in 2nd grade, and my favorite part about the science fair is letting kids see my project.
Hello, my name is Juliana Palomo, and I am in 4th grade. My favorite part of the science fair was seeing everyone's creative ideas for projects. I also love seeing all the designs on our boards. I really hope I see some new cool ideas next year.
Hi, my name is Sayanch Behera. I'm in 4th grade in Mrs. Reiner's class. What I loved about the science fair was when Mr. Cyber interviewed me while I was participating.
Hi, my name is Park Newson. I'm in 3rd grade. My favorite part of the science fair was the planetarium. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to my family and my teacher, Miss Gobnina, for helping me and guiding me.
Hi, my name is Matthew, and my favorite part of the science fair was me doing the live stream.
Hello, my name is William Blake. I'm in 5th grade. I'm in Mrs. Smith's class. My favorite part of the science fair was the robot soccer.
Hi, my name is Ava, and I'm in kindergarten. My teacher is Miss Hershon, and my favorite part about the science fair is doing the activities.
Hi, my name is Shayna Blake. I'm in 5th grade, and I'm in Miss Nalvin's homeroom. What I loved most about the science fair was participating in other people's science fair things.
Hi, my name is Hunter Jane Show. I'm in 5th grade, and my homeroom teacher is Mrs. April. I made a hand for the science fair. My favorite part of the science fair was the iCode booth.
And now we have a video recapping our science fair.
Science rules.
I'm here with
Sayanch.
Sayanch. What grade are you in?
4th grade.
Who's your teacher?
Miss Reiner.
Shout out to Miss Reiner. Sayanch, what's your science project?
My science project today, I'm going to show you a volcanic eruption.
Is that safe to do in school, dude?
I mean, yeah, but caution, no lava is included in this video.
Okay, that's good. I feel a little bit safer now.
So first, what we're going to do is
Just a little bit of vinegar. Whoa, 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 whoa!
It's not done yet, not done yet. And then finally, we're going to put a little bit of magic. Watch the magic.
We're here with
Ava
and
Shayna
and
William.
And together, they're the Blake Trio. I think it's a good name for you guys, the Blake Trio.
Okay.
Could you tell us a little bit about your project?
Static electricity. Static electricity. Static electricity.
Yep, okay. Got that 3 times. Yep.
Yeah.
What is static electricity?
Basically, how this ball works is when you touch it, positive and negative particles interact with each other and cause something called a static charge. And then when you touch it, it like explodes. Not in an exploding way, but like a moving
Got
way.
it. It explodes, but not in an exploding way. Let's go to the kindergartner. Could you explain it like a kindergartner, please? What?
Why?
Why?
I can explain it.
Because I don't get that it explodes, but not in an exploding way.
Okay,
I can explain it.
It's an explosion,
Yeah, I know.
I can explain
but not in an exploding way.
Not like it. Not like it. If you like, it was like
If it was actually to explode, it wouldn't do that. But like, it's like moving around so much that it looks like it's gonna explode, but it's not.
That completely makes sense.
Expands.
Expanding explosions.
Yeah.
Kablooey.
If it expands too much, it forms lightning.
Oh, and that charge would cause lightning.
Lightning.
And after lightning comes the
Thunder.
All right, girls, tell us about the project. What are we doing here?
So our project is that we're making boats out of tin foil, and we are trying to see how many pennies we could put on the boat before the boat sinks in the water.
And the tested one is the square, but you could do other shapes. It all depends on the weight and the size.
So start with the square and then change the shape or whatever? All right, show me how to do this.
So we're going to put the square in water, and we're going to take a couple pennies and put one in at a time. And we're going to put okay, and we're going to try to see how many pennies we can put in before it sinks. So
Hunter, tell us about your project.
So this is a robotic hand. As you can see, I built 3 different robotic hands. 2 of them are actual hands, and one of them's like a claw, but they still work as the tendons in your actual hand.
Everything is good. Which one was your first prototype?
So this one was my first prototype. Then we tried going for a more basic design, and then we ended it off with this one.
The important question, can you pick your nose with it?
Yes.
Have you tried?
No.
Time is up! They just missed! I can't believe it! And Parker, what is your experiment here today?
Tornadoes.
You're allowed to make tornadoes in school? Or won't that do some damage to the school?
Yes.
Okay. All right, how do we make a tornado?
First, you take 2-liter bottles and you mix them
Cow. I gotta go, Julia. We got cows.
So we got Jules and Gabby, and you girls are making slime. So do you have a slime recipe?
Yes. We're just adding
Glue and activator, that's the recipe?
Can we take consideration that we have a kind customer here that we should talk to?
Sorry, we have a paying customer. Let's ask the customer. Hi, what's your name?
Gianna.
Gianna, are you a paying customer?
No.
No, good. So what's the best price for slime?
I don't know.
Hi, what's your name?
Matthew. Now this is my experiment of how tomatoes, potatoes, and lemons could make electricity. Yeah, now they all have acid, which has ions, which is a type of atom that makes electricity, and they have a chemical reaction. And there's negative charged ones and positive charged ones, and the negative ones goes with the zinc metal, and the positive ones goes with the copper, and they travel through the wire, and then boom, they go in the light bulb and the clock.
And there you have it. That's how you make electricity. What do you think about the science? Is this your first time at the science fair?
No, this is actually my second.
Second time at the science fair. So you like coming to the Dugan Science Fair?
Yes, I love it.
Cool. Thanks, Matthew.
Okay, bye.
So if that video does not make you want to join a lesson in Mr. Seibert's Media Center, I don't know what would. But it shows his creative, innovative, and infectious spirit that he brings to the Media Center on a daily basis. I also invite you to subscribe to his YouTube channel, our YouTube channel, FJD Media Center, and you can see a sampling of his great work that he does with students every day. Again, I thank you for welcoming us here this evening to provide you with a glimpse of the wonderful things that we do each and every day, not only in our school, but in our district. I also want to give a thank you to all of our parents. Thank you for sharing your children with us every single day. That's truly what makes us come to school every single day and hustle to do what's best for all these guys. So thank you, parents. Thank you. And now we have our respect certificates for our participants. Sayanch. Sorry. He likes to shake. Oh. Gabriella. And you're going to go in the middle over there. Juliana. Ava. Shayna. William. Matthew. Careful, buddy.
Congratulations, Matthew.
Hunter. Parker.
Congratulations, Parker.
Abigail.
Congratulations.
And Fiona.
Congratulations.
And unable to join us tonight, we have Hassan.
Thank you so much for sharing with us the Dugan experience. It was great. I love the video. I love the experience. I feel like I was just brought back to my days of science in third, fourth, fifth grade. So thank you so much. And congratulations to the students and to all of you for doing such an amazing job in bringing the sciences to our school and to the rest of your community. So congratulations again.
Mr. Cohen, and how about that amazing teacher?
Oh my God,
Whoa.
yes. You are so lucky to have them as students. And I think they're so lucky to have you as their, their inspiration.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Malone, our work on display?
I want to do student impact first.
Yep. Oh, student impact, yes. Thank you.
So this month's student impact comes out of the POWER program, which stands for Parents Operating with Educators for Results. It's a Title I program. Thank you, Mrs. Gross, for putting the program together, and thank you for all of the staff members and students who took part. This year was a great success, and we have a short video for you.
The POWER program is a federally funded program designed to help close instructional gaps in English language arts and math for eligible students in grades 2 through 5. To celebrate the students' hard work and progress throughout the year, they were invited to the POWER Parent Academy event on May 8th. The theme was New Jersey Boardwalk, and students rotated station named after iconic New Jersey boardwalks where they played academic games and earned prizes. Thanks to the creativity and dedication of the MTPS staff, this event was a huge success and not only celebrated student achievement, but also created fun memories for all.
And finally, the artwork on display that you saw, if you got here a little early, you saw that it was on a loop playing. And here's just a quick description. Students in grade 3 and 4 at Asher Holmes Elementary School took part in a cross-curricular project that integrated art, ELA, and media literacy. Inspired by The Wild Robot by Peter Brown, students reimagined the story by working as both authors and illustrators to create original narratives with tales brought to life through the voices of imaginative narrators, Blue, Barry, and Pancake. The celebration of student creativity continued at the Asher Holmes Art Show, where friends and families admired framed masterpieces inspired by Monet and Georgia O'Keeffe. Finally, students engaged in a gallery walk showcasing art form from around the world and throughout history. The third graders studied American pop artist Andy Warhol to create expressive self-portraits, while fourth graders drew inspiration from Japanese artist Katsushika Hokusai. To recreate the iconic Great Wave at Asher Holmes, art education is more than a subject. It's a journey through history, culture, and creativity designed to empower and inspire the next generation of artists. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing that, and for the student impact and the power celebration. That was really very exciting to watch as well. So thank you. I'm going to make a motion that we take a 10-minute recess so our family and our students have a chance to sort of take some more pictures. But I think some of the board members really want to go up and see some of the science projects that are behind us on the stage. So that'd be great. Can I have a second? Ms. Mendez, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Great. 10-minute recess. So. Do a roll call, please.
Mrs. Carrero?
Here.
Mr. Hyatt? Mr. Alonsky?
Here.
Mrs. Mendez?
Here.
Dr. Miskowitz?
Here.
Mrs. Seward?
Here.
Mrs. Balomo?
Here.
And Mr. Cohen?
Here. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on with the agenda, and we are up to announcements. Mr. Balone?
I have none.
Thank you very much. Mr. Carabello, school bus driver abstracts.
Sure, all abstracts were run and all have privileges in good standing.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the next item, you have a presentation on the referendum process.
Yes. Mike, it's a PDF, so. All right. Thank you. Okay, so good evening, everybody. So I promised we would continue the discussion about our referendum that we have coming up in December. This was provided by our bond counsel. This actually has also been produced to us at NJ ASBO conferences. It's basically just an overview and a timeline, just a sense of just understanding what the process is for a referendum and what goes into it. So the couple things we'll just discuss is just an overview of, if you have any questions, just feel free to just jump out at the slide like always, but we're going to go over the referendum process, and then after the process is completed, what the process is for issuing the school bonds or note, whatever we decide to whatever tool we decide to utilize. So a note is a short-term loan, and a bond is usually a long-term vehicle to utilize for funding. So your referendum process, so basically when you are considering going out for referendum, there's a lot of moving parts that we'll look into. So some of the things to assemble the team, of course, you have your architect, your engineer, your construction manager. We usually don't utilize a construction manager. We will utilize our building and ground supervisor for that. And then you have your bond counsel, your municipal advisor, and then your auditor finally. Because your auditor will basically determine what kind of financial tool you should be utilizing and how it should be recorded, so either a note or a bond. When we determine the needs of the school district, we look at a various amount of things. In this instance, we looked at our long-range facilities plan, which included those 2 HVAC projects that we're going out for. And then you have your enrollment projections that we utilize, but in this case, we know we are pinpointed at 2 schools. Sometimes you look at technology, security. Some people go out for referendum for compliance with ADA. And then also, you have to keep in mind your borrowing capacity. So when you exceed your borrowing capacity, if other districts have loans or outstanding debt, they usually need Department of Education and State Local Finance Board of approvals. And in that instance, we technically do not have any debt. The only debt we have are purchase leases through buses. So other than that, we do not have any debt. We have no referendums, no past referendums on our books anymore. I think the last one was paid when I first got here, and 2020 was the last year for that. So your borrowing capacity. So there's basically a statute that is basically a table of contents, which basically says that your net school debt of the district really cannot exceed the average equalized valuation of taxable property set forth in this table. So we are a K through 8 district, so we would fall under number 2, which means that we wouldn't be able to borrow more than 3% without approval. This referendum that we're going out for is not substantial in the amounts of some other districts, whether it be 100 million, 200 million. This is a $5 million referendum, so this is really not applicable for us, but this is the table of contents that people have to keep in mind when they are going out for funding. They can't go over that threshold that's set forth. And you can see grades 9 through 12, if you have a district that's K through 12, it all varies based on the taxable valuation that they set.
They don't include pre-K?
Sometimes they do not include pre-K because it's not mandatory per the state. I believe it's an optional grade level, so they don't usually include that in their formula. We don't even get really funding for pre-K students because technically can't record them on ASSA yet. So when it comes time to making the decision, you usually have to look at the special election dates. So as we discussed, there are 4 different special election dates that you can utilize. One is the 4th Tuesday in January. Other one then when a presidential primary occurs. You have your 2nd Tuesday in March. You have your last Tuesday in September, or you have your 2nd Tuesday in December. And then, of course, you can do the annual school election in November, the general election. We're proposing to do the 2nd Tuesday in December, so that would fall into the special election category.
Can we pause on that for a second? I know I asked this in last meeting. When we go with with December, and I appreciate the proposal, is it a vote? How do we land on what election it's in? Is it a recommendation that we just follow? Does the board have to formally vote on it? How does that work?
So, Michael, I believe it's a vote, right? So you would have to vote the second. You would set the date.
Okay. So when will we vote on that then?
When the bond question is proposed, usually everything is proposed in one resolution where you have to vote on the exact language that will be in the ballot and also the date it goes in.
Thank you.
Again, I can only recommend that this board does not go with the general election. I think I don't think that would be the smartest move to go with the general election in November with the governor election and everything else that's going on. So
yeah.
I think a special election is beneficial for us. But that's up to the board.
Yeah, just
my
a thought on that one. I think the past 2 referendums that failed were in December, from what I heard. Is that correct or no?
I would have to look at the sheet that I proposed. It had all the specific dates where
yeah,
it showed
I think the
referendums.
past 2 that failed in December, failed in December. So I'm with you. Like, what's the better option? I believe from just, I guess, word of mouth around town, like asking, tell me the history or whatever, it looked like the November was avoided because, and I'm not speaking fact, I'm only speaking hearsay, so nobody quote this as like real. All I'm wondering is, was the proposal, not from you, in past referendums for December because they felt that more parents would come out and vote yes, as opposed to everybody coming out and feeling like it didn't apply to them. I don't know the story, that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah,
so I'm on the fence with December because it failed twice, and we know, I don't know. So that's my question.
Well, we also just need to be mindful of the timelines. So if you don't get in a certain election date, you may have to wait until the following year.
Right, so if I don't know how that works, I know what you just said about the proposal and all those things, but if we have to make a decision sooner rather than later, right, based on what you said, then I'm happy to discuss it whenever so that we can, if we want to hit November, we don't almost miss November. Just saying if that's how the board votes.
Yeah, I believe that's a public discussion that the board is more than welcome to have with each other here when it comes to what election date all of you feel is the most beneficial for the referendum. I'm just only advised what I believe was the best. But
absolutely.
And
then
I don't get the vote.
And then one other thing that I had asked in the last meeting, I don't know who would get this, is clarity on when it was. So I think I heard that, but I don't know if it's true, like when they were and the dates and what the stats were. And then there was one referendum that passed, I think in the last meeting. When was that? Was that November or December? What election did that take place? And I'm not sure who gives us that information or if I'm to find it on my own, but I know
I had that.
Oh, okay. It's
I
coming.
think that last presentation, I don't think you were here, Valentina, were you?
I was here. That's when I asked that question.
So the last presentation had the list of all the referendums and showed the date exactly when they failed or passed. I would just have to go back and look. Or
that's fine. I don't remember
think it's on our
either.
website. We put that slideshow.
I'll go back then if it's there. I just don't remember what it said. If it said November or December.
I think it might have been September.
Okay.
To be honest, but I would have to double check.
That's
so don't
fine.
quote me on that. But
I could check.
It is on that slideshow.
That's fine because I was here and I just couldn't remember. Thank you.
You're welcome. So just the notice of the special elections, they need to be given to the county clerk, the municipal clerk, and to the county board of elections no less than 60 days prior to the day of the special election. So September, we've definitely missed that boat, or we're getting close when it comes to everything that has to still happen. You have your special election dates are really December, January, March, that you would be able to look at. And then, of course, the general election, assuming we can make that timeline, which I believe we could, because it's not far off from the second Tuesday in December. So again, the timeline, so basically at least 60 days prior to the special election, what you do is you send the letter to the county clerk, the Board of Elections, the Superintendent of Elections, and if applicable, the municipal clerk in Marlboro Townships, and then you request them to conduct the special election. And then 29 to 59 days prior to the election, the County Board of Elections should publish the notice as required by law. And then you have 55 days prior to the election, the publication of persons wanting mail-in ballots, the notices to the municipal clerk. Then this is where we adopt a resolution authorizing special election and form of proposal. So all of that would need to happen before we adopt anything. So in reality, we should have discussions when it comes to hammering down a date, because we wouldn't want to get to the middle of this and then say, oh wait, maybe that's not the date we want. So that's why we have these discussions now.
And my question then on this, and you might get to it, so I can totally wait, is just, you had mentioned like next steps, like where we go when you said we have to come up with language and all of those things. I'm assuming you're going to cover that in this.
Yeah, so as discussed, we have a kickoff meeting in June with Michael and myself and all of the members that involved with, so it's the architect,
Yeah, I
the
saw that in your
communications company, the engineer, the bond council, and everybody's going to basically formulate a plan, and that's when we come back and report out, and that's when we have discussions about how we're forming the committees, how we want them to look, who do we want on them, how we want that to flow and run when we feed information from the professionals to the board. We can have them come here, we can be the conduits for that as well. So it's really a communication flow and how we want to just have the output go to the full board and then essentially next to the community.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate that, and I did read that in the notes. Then if, just asking, 60 days prior to the special election, let's just say hypothetically the board votes November, not saying we are, just however we go, that would mean that we'd have to get that solidified in September, which would mean we'd have to have all of that ironed out in like July, which means a meeting in June 10th. We're just cutting it a tad close, that we're almost making it that we can only do it in December. So I just want to be for all of us, I'm just saying, whatever work we need to do, happy to do it, just mindful of that timeline, because I don't want to get to a point where we're like, we missed it because we had so much to do. That's all I'm asking.
Well,
so
we don't make it in December, we have January and March.
I know, but I think our goal is to get it done sooner rather than later.
I think what Ms. Mendez is saying is that at this point in time, our options are beginning with November. I think you're saying you don't want to eliminate November as an option because we have so many things to do. You want to be able to leave November on the table, as well as December, as well as January, as well as
Right, just so the
March.
board can vote on all the available options, that's all. And whatever we land on, but I don't want to get to a point where we're like, we cut it out and we're going to push it. Like, the sooner we can get it, whatever we need to do to support you, that's all I'm asking.
I think the board needs to have a healthy discussion on what date they really want. And then once it's consistent and we don't have to worry about which date we're choosing, we would know and we would hit the ground running.
Do we have that tonight then, or do you want to do it in the next meeting? I just want to know when you want to have the
we
discussion.
could certainly bring that up under old or new business if we want to discuss that.
Okay.
And this way, that'll give me some clarity when it comes to when we
Perfect.
meet with like bond counsel, because they're really going to advise us on next steps when it comes to how they're going to formulate the bond question, how it's going to be distributed to the board, and when it's going to need to be approved by, so he can get all of that stuff into where it needs to go. And he's going to want to know the date that we're going to want to select.
Right, absolutely.
Before he puts even any of that stuff together.
Thank you.
My only point will be, and if you would like to have a discussion tonight, at least begin the discussion tonight, that's fine, but I think you've raised some very interesting questions that if Mr. Caravello has an opportunity to come back to us next month with the answers to some of those questions, they may better inform us in our discussion rather than have it twice.
Absolutely. I think to start it tonight, at least to have everybody talking through it, and I'm with you, Brian, there's some good information. I think that would be helpful.
Okay, so after we adopt the resolution authorizing the special election, so as of the date proposal is adopted, that's when our other professionals would start preparing supplemental debt statements. and provide those to the municipal clerk and the school board secretary's office. So prior to the adoption of the resolution, we're going to have to submit financial statements showing that we are capable of funding this referendum. And that's why there's a timeline here, because in June, we are going to put on resolutions basically maximizing a deposit into our reserve accounts. So whatever we include on our financial statements, we want to make sure that we're able to fund what we're saying we're able to fund. And then at the end, the statute requires that this must be done at least 19 days prior to election. Counties may request more time, so you have to send your certified copy of your proposal to the county clerk, county board of elections, and the superintendent of elections, if applicable, requesting them to submit the proposal at special election date to be scheduled for. So going back to your question, there is a little bit of a gap where you do have some time to discuss what date you want, because it has to be 19 days prior. But in reality, when you put together a second question, when you put together everything that's going to have to be board approved, you want there to be as much clarity as possible, and it just in the most extreme form, so you're not pivoting to where, say, the language or say what we discussed at a meeting says, oh yeah, we're going out in November, and then 19 days prior we change the date. We want everything to just be uniform from start to finish.
I think then in that regard, because on the top it says you have to send a letter requesting the special election 60 days, but then what's the difference between the 19 days on the bottom?
So the 19th, you basically have an option to change it if you feel like you're going to run into a timeline issue, or if you're going to run into funding issues.
Oh, gotcha, okay. So it would be like a modification more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So then the tail end of the timeline is, so basically when we send that to everywhere, the commissioner determines the final eligible cost and informs the district in writing. In the calendar week next preceding to the special election date, the County Board of Elections should again publish the notice as required by law. And then right prior to this special election date, they file the supplemental debt statements, or the financial statements that we've provided. On the 7th day, and again on the day preceding the election, the County Board of Elections publishes notices to registered voters. And then hopefully when everybody gets to the ballot box and it passes, once you get to a successful referendum, we have to file a copy of the proposal with the Commissioner of Education and now prepare with our financial advisor for the proceedings, or the bond proceedings, or the note.
Those steps where it says the special election timeline, I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I'm on the right page. That would be anything outside of the November election?
Yes.
This would be a moot point if we went in November, but December others, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so this covers December, September, January, March, those 4 dates.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so next is just, so after all of that timeline takes place, you have your issuing of your school bonds. And so the next slide, which kind of gives you an idea, and again, I'll post this on our website so everybody can see it a little bit better. That's just basically a template of what a bond proposal question will look like. So basically you will write your narrative, your question, and then at the bottom you'll show your total project cost, your total eligible costs, and then it shows the state share. So basically when you outline that in your question, when you submit your financials, you have to show that you're able to fund that, because they're not going to have you go out for a question and approve it if you can't fund the portion you're supposed to fund. They would be like, why am I giving you money if you can't meet that obligation? Now, if we couldn't fund it, then we would have to note that we're going out for some type of loan vehicle, whether it be a note or a bond, and that's when it is a cost to the taxpayers. When it's not a cost to the taxpayers is when you fully utilize your reserves, and then the other 40% comes from the state share of what you get approved in the referendum.
So just a question on the, I know, nobody's surprised I'm asking a question. When it comes to the proposal question, and I appreciate the sample here, is it open that here's a sample, feel free to write it how you like? Not saying whatever. I'm asking that because this is long and wordy and gets lost in the sauce, and keeping this super simple so people just know I'm voting for air conditioning or not.
Well, yeah, so that's something we'll
Is that what we
we'll
could
put
do?
together our bond council,
Gotcha.
but exactly how it's supposed to be written on the ballot is exactly how it needs to be written in the resolution for the board
Gotcha.
to approve.
Okay.
There can be any differences.
Because I'm more of the less is more theory of like, don't overcomplicate it.
Right, so this one is a little bit different because they have to put out that they have project costs, eligible costs.
Right, they have a lot in there.
Yeah.
I just like say yes or no. Do you want it? You know, but I get it. Thank you.
And again, there's certain statutes that, there's certain guidelines and statutes that question needs to meet. It has to include certain things. So, again, there's going to be a structure to how this question is going to be put together. As far as putting it in simplest form, just getting to the point of saying it's for HVAC of Robertsville and Asher, absolutely. But again, the bond council will refer us to how specifically that's supposed to be met, so it doesn't get rejected or turned down.
Absolutely.
And we have to revise it. So it says what, sorry, Mike. So it says, like, on the right-hand side, it says, what do I need in my ballot question? So these are the things you have to include. You have to include the projects to be completed with the referendum, the total cost of the project, the amount to be borrowed. So in this case, we're really hoping to do it all with our reserves, so we would hope to not put any amount that needs to be borrowed. Your eligible and ineligible costs need to be mapped out, and then any transfer among projects. Again, not many transfers among projects. It's pretty simple. It's 2 schools with HVAC. And so once it's successful, you need, again, this may not be applicable to us, but how this is going to work is they're basically going to, we're not looking to go out for a long-term bond. This is when your auditor, your financial advisor, your bond counsel, they all discuss with us what the best option is here. Because what happens is when you have to secure funding, yes, we have the reserves to pay for the project, but we still need a funding source. So we're going to have to take out a short-term note, and we're going to have to get that money that we need, and then once that comes in and secured, we pay it off with the reserves that we have budgeted in the future budget that we're going to anticipate doing.
Would the bond, you're saying, Vinny, be the piece where if I didn't have the money handy, per se, I would then have to take the bond?
Right,
Like,
so
when would that come into play?
You have to look at the time. So the timeline here is, so say December, we get approval, and then this train doesn't stop. By December, I'm starting to talk about the 26-27 budget. The 25-26 budget we just discussed does not have a withdrawal of capital reserve included in it. So I'm going to have to put in the 26-27 budget the withdrawal of capital reserve I'm making for this. So in essence, if I want to secure the funding from the successful referendum, I'm going to have to take a short-term note out for that money. And then once the budget gets passed in May with that withdrawal of that reserve amount gets thrown to that note and gets paid off completely. This way, it is no cost to the taxpayer. You're basically just taking a short-term notice out to pay it off
To
at
pay
a
it
later
up
date.
front.
There's not going to be an amortization schedule.
Right.
It's not going to be a maturity date. It's really, you're just taking that funding source and you're going to pay it off with the reserves once the budget's approved.
Yep, okay.
So this is the process if you were to take out a long-term bond. So a lot of districts, they will. When it says a cost to the taxpayer, this is what they're doing. They need to actually fund the referendum fully because they don't have enough capital or maintenance reserve on hand to do so. So they'll take that through the form of a bond or a note. Normally it's a bond because they'll do a long-term amortization schedule and they'll build it into their Fund 40, their debt service account, and budget for it each year. So some of the things that you do, again, and this what we'll have to do for a note issue as well, we'll set the closing date of the note, and we'll try to timeline it as long as possible so it almost correlates to where we pass the budget, we secure the funds, and we're able to just pay it off. So there's really no interest earned or anything that's gained from having a note out. And then you select the payment dates. Again, this is similar to the ESIP project. We have an amortization schedule. We selected the payment dates. It's now built into our budget. This would be the same, basically the same instance, but we're not doing like a 15, 20-year schedule. It's going to be like instantaneously where we want to pay it off.
We will be saying that, constantly that we're going to pay this off quickly for the public to know.
Yeah. So when we do
when we're advertising.
So right now, what we're advertising is we want to pay it off with reserves. In June, we're going to have motions on there that's going to designate your deposit for your capital and maintenance reserve, not to exceed a certain amount. That amount's going to be enough to put in your reserves to cover that project. When we start closing out our year and we start seeing our surplus and our fund balance available, we're going to designate with our auditors a certain amount that we approved in June for capital reserve. And then the rest will go into our fund balance or our surplus, how we build our base for our following year budget. So when you see like the following year budget where it says fund balance 2 million, 1.5 million, that's the base that you built with a surplus from the previous year you had left over. Now again, if our surplus is not as healthy as we think because of at the end of the year, we will have a different conversation, and we may have to either pivot and wait, or we might have to take out a bond or a note. I mean, I'm going to be completely honest with everybody. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to deplete your full reserve account for this to zero.
So tell us more about what you're thinking then. Like when you're saying that statement, are you leaning a certain way?
I'm saying this is why, I'm saying this is why we're having constant communication, because we're looking at our surplus and we know what needs to come out, what doesn't, but things happen and things arise to where you may not be able to put in as much as you can. Right now we're anticipating we can put in enough. But I don't ever want to just say, oh yeah, all in, we're guaranteed. I always want, that's my job, to be the fiscal steward of this district and to make sure that we're in the best position, not only for this year, next year, but years to come. So we are confident that we are going to be able to put enough in the reserve account to finish this project. But then after that, there may be a slow, steady gain of where you're not doing as much anymore because we need to really build our reserves up. Or we're going to be creative and do more projects out of our maintenance reserve account, which does have a healthy balance. This doesn't qualify under maintenance reserve because it's a new capital improvement.
Right. Could we just take a minute on that point you raised? When you're saying, because I know you did mention we're okay right now, things could come up. Are we putting anything at risk? Or you feel, I know you said we're okay now, are you thinking another way? Should we be talking about something else with funding? Or
I mean, that's a loaded question. I'm always thinking a lot of ways.
I appreciate it. I don't want to leave us in a spot either. I want to just make sure we're talking through all parameters, right? Like what could happen? A million things could happen, which we know. And so are we leaving us so close to an edge where it's like, hey, if one big thing happens, we don't have enough money? Like, I just want to make sure where we are.
But I can't anticipate what's going to happen if it hasn't happened. So I'm looking at the numbers and I'm making sure that we have enough to put into the reserve so I don't have to come to you and say we need a loan in a bond or a note.
So I think if I'm understanding you correctly, I mean, we're planning for the appropriate funds to be put into the capital reserve to cover the cost of the project, barring any unforeseen emergencies or unpredicted events that occur. And if those events do occur, then we may need to make some decisions as to whether or not the investment for those other projects need to happen immediately or not. And if they do, then we may have to have some sort of, alternative approach to continue to pay for or fund the air conditioning project based upon the referendum.
Correct.
Right? However, you're also saying that if something does come up, there may be an opportunity to tap into the maintenance reserves if, in fact, the project would, not the air conditioning project, but the other event that may occur qualifies for that type of a use of funds.
Yeah, so our maintenance reserves cover all of those projects that you see on the board when we talk about during budget. So your asphalt repairs, your sheds, your repointing, all of that equipment and stuff that qualifies under maintenance reserve, we can still utilize that each year. The problem is if I have to designate so much money into capital reserve, I'm not going to be able to designate money into maintenance reserve. So you just have to be mindful of that piece.
Right, because I'm thinking about technology and or something.
That would come out of the operating budget.
Right, so I just want to make sure in our verticals that we're covered in all aspects.
Yeah, so that gets built into the operating budget.
And you feel okay.
Yeah,
okay.
That has nothing to do with the reserve.
And I know you can't predict the future, so I understand that. I just want to kind of catch what you were thinking.
Yeah, again, I'm going to tell this board every situation or every angle that could possibly come up. but our main goal is to get air conditioning in Asher and Robertsville.
1,000%.
And we're going to try to make that happen for you. And we want to do that at no tax increase to the taxpayer.
Yes.
And you have to do it solely through the reserves. There's no other way.
Yep.
And Val, I think that's the piece that we have to focus on.
Yeah.
We've got to get these kids getting their equal share.
1,000%.
So, if we have to worry about something else in the future, we worry later.
Yes, but I don't want to
we don't have
worry
anything
later and
now.
not be
You know,
prepared.
we're not anticipating,
No.
you can't anticipate anything, so.
Absolutely.
Let's
As long
focus
as-
on the positive, and let's get this thing passed.
It's all positive because I feel good about it,
Yeah.
but we still have to look at the numbers and weigh all of our options, that's all. But,
Yeah,
it's a
I
positive
agree.
thing, and we all, I think, want AC in the schools.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's the driving force here is we want just for us to be caught back up to the 21st century and have air conditioning in all our schools.
1,000%.
So that's,
I think it's a good conversation. I think, I think the interaction, the back and forth, indicates a couple of things. One, you're still watching the capital reserve funds to make sure we have sufficient funds to cover this project and anything else that may come up. You're continuously putting money into the maintenance reserve. There is a healthy balance there right now that sort of should help continue to support anything that comes into that category of the need for investment because of maintenance, right? And that, we just need to have you continue to keep us informed, and you do in the context of budget, to make sure that we are not seeing anything unusual that we have to potentially prepare for. And as long as we're sort of staying focused and aware of that, and you're keeping us informed, I'm comfortable that, we're all going in the right direction.
right, and I put everything on the table because I don't want there to ever be a surprise where I'm up here and be like, oh, sorry,
Absolutely,
I can't do it.
'cause then
So I
we'll
wanna give
say,
you all angles of everything.
We used all this money. We didn't realize that X, Y, and Z. So I appreciate you giving us all of the options, and I think we're in a good spot, but I appreciate you answering that. Thank you.
And then the last steps are usually you have to get your bond rated, and then we also must need to get a credit rating. So anytime you ever go out for a loan or any type of finance tool, you need to get rated as well. And then we have to file that also with the secondary market disclosure requirements, which I had to do when we had our last referendum each year. All right, so that is it for me. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been really helpful. So I appreciate you always updating us.
We're all going to become experts on referendums and bonds and council, and we'll go on the road show and help other districts. Thank you, Mr. Garavello. All right, so we're going to move on to our next item on the agenda, which is a report on anti-bullying Bill of Rights. Mr. Balone?
Thank you. For board members who have been here, you understand the cycle, but for the newer board members who came on in January, I'll just explain to you. Beginning in the 2011-12 school year, our district has implemented the requirements found in the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights. And essentially what happens is, in the fall, all of our schools do a self-assessment on the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights, and there's a rubric attached. There are 8 core elements. They include programs, training for board members, training for other staff, curriculum, personnel, school-level incident reporting, investigation procedure, and just overall general reporting. So what our schools do in the fall is they do a self-assessment in accordance with the rubric. The highest score is actually a 78, so when you see scores in the 70s, don't get concerned. We're doing very well. So that happens in the fall, and then that gets submitted to the New Jersey Department of Education. Now is when, or the New Jersey Department of Education from the fall until now reviews all of the school districts' self-assessments, and they come back and they either approve or not. We've always been approved, so now they have approved our scores, and we are required for the board to acknowledge the New Jersey Department of Ed's approval. So it's a 2-part process: submission in the fall, and now approval from the DOE in the spring. And that's what you're seeing here. All of the information is detailed in your notes that you received on Friday. I'm happy to speak about any of our scores, but I can tell you, anytime you see a score that's less than 78, we're in the high 70s. Every single one of our locations is either meeting or exceeding expectations for adherence to HIB.
And I just want to say you gave us a timeline of the scores over the years and all of that, and the scores stayed in a really good spot, it looked like.
Yeah, the first year they were a lot lower
Yeah.
than where we are now. You know, in the 2011-12 year, they were significantly lower. And with the improvement of policy and programming and our coordinators at each building, we have improved.
Yeah, I just wanted to say kudos because I saw the rise in that, so.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Balone. We are now moving over to public comments. Mr. Caravella, do you have a list?
Sure, I have one on my list, Megan Fitzsimmons.
To see where it's going to become our next AV person.
How about now? Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Megan Fitzsimmons, and I'm speaking here tonight as a staff member at the David C. Abbott Early Learning Center. There are some staff members whose names show up under the personnel section that I just want to make note of. We've got Carolyn Brock, Margot O'Connor, Kristen Beery, Jessica Lawrence, Kelly Montemarano, Maureen Murray, Shira Schaefer, Alyssa Visacaro, Jamie Warwick, Sandra Isabella, Penny Cooper, Dahlia Salama, and Trish Shore. These 13 staff members, due to the program changes, will be leaving our school for the 25-26 school year. I've been at the Early Learning Center since January of 2004, so I've had the pleasure of working with all of them. And I just want to just publicly acknowledge them and thank them for all the great work that they've done over the years with our students. They always put the students first, and they give 110% no matter what their position is. And just to let the schools that will be getting these staff members, we're sorry to see them go, but they're very, very lucky. So we're going to miss them, but we wish them well in their new positions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for recognizing them and for offering those thoughts. Is there anyone else on the list?
No one else on my list.
Would anyone else like to speak? Just please come up to the mic, say your name and where you're from, and please go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Jill Strafasi, 25 Canadian Woods Road, Marlboro. You know, when 9/11 happened, and by the way, I don't even have a speech, so I'm off the cuff, so I apologize, and I'll try to keep to 3 minutes.
Don't worry about the clock in front of you,
Thank you.
please.
But when, you know, when 9/11 happened, you know, Mr. Rogers came out and he said, look for the helpers, look for the helpers. So since the worst night of my life, May 7th, I've really been trying to do that. So I sent an email to all the rescuers that were involved in getting my baby back to me. And I also wanted to thank the helpers in the Marlboro school community because they're so numerous, from Mr. Balone, who has texted me and came to my open house and has been so wonderful. The MMS teachers, Jamie Stockrocky, present members and past teachers. I just 15 minutes ago got a text that Mrs. Ross dropped off her famous cookies to my kids. Just the support and love has been unbelievable. The Dugan staff, so many of them have reached out to my family, looked out for my kids, and even past people like Erica McEnroe, Dr. Lauren Young. Like, I got a text from Dr. Young even today. Nancy Astor Schultz, again, they keep checking in and checking in and checking in, getting emails from the guidance counselors and the school psychologists at MMS, just getting texts from teachers saying, your son's doing okay today. It was a good day. Anything you need, anything you need. Those are the helpers. And in the midst of this tremendous loss, that's what I keep going to and looking for. So I just want to thank the staff because we are so very lucky for the community coming together and so many people coming to our home last weekend and sharing the most beautiful memories, and not even people who just knew Maria, but her siblings. And I don't know if Mr. G is still here, but he was one of Maria's biggest fans and told me tonight he still had her writings from when he was her literary magazine advisor. She adored him and he adored her. But that just goes to show you how lucky we are to have the teachers we do, who go above and beyond, not just for their present students, but for past students. So it's impossible for me to write thank you cards for all of the staff, but hopefully they will watch this video, and I will say thank you. Thank you for myself, my children, my husband. I will never be able to repay the kindness. And again, like Dugan staff and Mr. Balone, I sent him a screenshot. He can show you. So many people contributed, and they made an incredibly generous donation to the Mental Health Association of Monmouth County. And they sent a letter back to one of the teachers saying so many donations have been made. So thank you, Marlboro staff and administration, for your tremendous help. Finally, I just want to say very quickly, so many of you tonight have been saying, just let me know what I can do to help. And it's really not helping me, but my last request would be for you to strongly consider and see if you can find it in the budget. And I did speak with Mr. Balone about this previously. If we could get a clinician back in Marlboro Township. When I was on the board, anyone who knew me knew I was all about mental health, and I spoke about it at the meetings, and special education, and the arts. Those were my passion projects when I was a board member, and they're still my passions. And if it's at all possible to get either take an LCSW that maybe is working as a case manager but is working as a private practitioner and switch them in a position so that the students get the actual clinical therapy they need so that we can catch a kid at stage 1 mental health issues, rather than my daughter, who is unfortunately stage 4. You couldn't have seen this, you may not have seen it on the medical scans, but my daughter, she was a stage 4. And I don't want any other child or family to go through what we went through. So perhaps if, I know you used to have a Rutgers clinician, but if you could bring back Rutgers or have Effective School Solutions or Thrive, or somehow get one of your current staff members and switch their job positions so that maybe they don't have to worry about doing case management, but they can do actual true therapy so that they are a specialist for these kids rather than a general practitioner. You would save not just one life, but future lives, that when that person grows up and they get married and they have kids, and that could be one of your, God forbid, but it could be one of your loved ones or someone in your community, and those generations will keep going. So that's what I'm advocating for tonight, because even though my daughter is gone, I can't stop advocating, and I know that's what she'd want me to do. And she was really proud of me when I was on the board, and she saw how people who were angry, it was a very angry time, especially coming out of COVID, and they would come up here and they would insult me and everything, and she'd say, why don't you resign? And I'd say, because I'm doing it for, I'm doing it for kids like you. I'm doing it for the kids who might not have a voice. So I implore you all tonight, maybe it can't be for this current budget, I understand that, but maybe for the following school year, if you could all consider that, I would be so deeply grateful. Thank you so much for your kindness tonight.
Mrs. Stravaci, again, thank you for coming up here and just recognizing the staff and for the things that they did. I'll speak for myself, and I'm sure the board members, if they want to, they can sort of, add to my words. But my deepest condolences to you and your family, and my deepest sympathy on your loss for your daughter. It takes a very special person to come up to that microphone after your loss and not to advocate for your daughter or for her memory, but for everyone else. And to sort of, to express concern over what you want us to do for others. And thank you for doing that. And thank you for reminding us about just how important it is for us to sort of, always be grounded in the role we have here as a board member and as an administrator. And finally, just, thank you to you as well for the time that you spent on this side of the microphones, and for the service that you've done to the community and on the board. And again, we all know what that role is like, and for what you endure and for what we all endure. But we also remind ourselves just how important it is for what the work that we've done when we signed up for this position. So thank you for your work, and thank you for thinking of the people of this community and the students in our schools. Anyone else want to?
I just wanted to say, Jill, again, I know we talked a few times, but I know it took a lot to come up here tonight, and your story resonates with me, and so just thank you for sharing that.
Anyone else would like to come to the microphone for first comments? Yes. Ms. Bono.
Hi, Farrah Bono, Nashua Drive, Marlboro, New Jersey. I'm here about the brief referendum discussion, and I thank you, Mr. Caravello, for encouraging a healthy discussion of board members. I was not able to make the last meeting, and I see we have a nice addition of technology. Having said that, ask questions. Get your questions answered. People on this board and past boards have promised me that Robertsville would be next. I was a student in the district when Dugan was built and Mr. Ellsworth pulled all the students, or pulled students and certain staff to open up a brand new building in the 80s. They have air conditioning. We still do not. Asher Homes does not. I don't understand where the equity is in this. I understand you need money. I can tell you I've been at the board when referendums have failed. And I applaud all your questions, but we can't play what ifs. The time the referendums have failed because we did not have a united board. The times in the town that the referendums have passed, it's when the board members came together to pass the referendum. I am asking you, be united. Ask your questions, get your answers, and be a united front so that we can have a past referendum. Because when one member of the board does not work with the rest of the team, it is apparent for all to see. So please, join us, work together. Become a team, become united, pass the referendum. Because I know the other buildings would not hold off turning their air conditioning on until we got air conditioning at Robertsville or at Asher Homes. And I'm not speaking for myself, I'm speaking for the children of both buildings. Come together, pass the referendum, work as a united board, and put your personal agendas aside for the town of Marlboro. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bono. We are with you, and we appreciate your support, and it's that type of support we're going to want to sort of, depend upon when it comes time for the referendum. Anyone else for public comments?
Just hold it. Scott Samaya, Marlboro, New Jersey. Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Balone, and everyone here tonight. I'm speaking tonight as a parent in the district and also as a forensic accountant. I have expertise in assisting organizations detect and prevent financial fraud, and I want to share a perspective that I hope is helpful. Just recently in Deptford Township, a PTO treasurer was charged with stealing over $50,000 from 2 elementary schools. These were funds raised by parents and volunteers intended to benefit kids, and unfortunately were allegedly misappropriated for personal funds. As a parent, it's shocking. However, as a professional, it's sadly not surprising. I've seen this happen in organizations of all sizes, and almost always the root cause is the same: weak internal controls and oversight. I want to be clear, I'm not suggesting anything improper is happening here in Marlboro, but I do know this kind of thing has happened here before. It was before my time in the district, and I don't know what, if any, changes were made at the board level after that incident. That's exactly why I think it's worth revisiting now. Strong financial controls are not complicated. Simple measures like requiring 2 signatures on checks, providing clear guidelines and training to PTOs and other school-connected groups, and encouraging routine financial reviews can go a long way in protecting the people who volunteer, and more importantly, the kids these dollars are supposed to support. The vast majority of people involved in our school groups are honest and committed to doing the right thing, but good intentions aren't a substitute for sound policy. We owe it to our students, our schools, and our community to ensure the right guardrails are in place. It's much better practice to be proactive before something happens rather than reactive. I hope the board will consider reviewing current policies and making sure that they are as strong as they need to be, not in response to a crisis, but to prevent one from ever happening again. Thank you for your time and for everything you all do for our district. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Samaya. Anyone else want to come up?
Aldo Petrino, Morganville, New Jersey. So the gentleman that just spoke about the audits and financial reviews, I actually don't disagree with you, but you know, much like the conversation that was had last year or the year prior, I don't think it should be limited to the PTO and PTAs of the district. This is something that, you know, all of the charitable organizations that are working to benefit the district and the kids, whether it's MEF or SCOPE or any of the ones that, I'm not sure which ones collect money and which ones don't, but if there's finances involved, I think they should all be subject to the same exact scrutiny. I don't see a reason why they should differentiate between any of them. So that aside, thank you for your comments. Dr. Miskowitz, I just wanted to introduce you to Danielle sitting next to you, because on Facebook, you made it seem like you didn't know who she was when a picture of her was posted. So your sarcasm didn't go unnoticed. And yeah, it's real big of you. So have a nice night.
Thank you, Mr. Petruno. Dr. Miskowitz, do you want to respond?
I don't have a response.
Thank you. Anyone else want to come up for public comments? Seeing none, motion to close public comments. Second, Mr. Melansky. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Thank you. We'll move on with our agenda. We're up to communications. Mr. Balone, Superintendent's report.
The HIB report from the time period May 2nd, 2025 through May 15th, 2025, there were 5 incidents reported.
Thank you. I'll make note of the meeting dates for our next 2 meetings. June 17th will be a regular meeting. That's Tuesday, June 17th, and Tuesday, July 22nd. Both of those will be regular meetings. We'll also make a motion to approve our minutes from the April 29th, 2025 meeting, regular and executive. Can I have a second on that motion? Ms. Seward. Any discussions? Mr. Caravello?
Mrs. Palomo?
Yes.
Mrs. Carrero?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
Yes.
Mr. Olansky?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez? Dr. Miskowitz?
Abstain.
Mrs. Seward?
Yes.
And Mr. Cohen?
Yes. Next item is Secretary and Business Administrator's report. Mr. Caravello.
So this is the monthly submission for the Board Secretary's report for April 30th, 2025, and also the payroll certification for April 2025.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions on that? Thank you. We'll move along to committee reports. We have 3 committees that are reporting out tonight. Communications Committee, Mr. Hyatt.
Sure. We actually met just before the meeting. So thank you, Mrs. Gross. She's actually getting the website stuff in order so that we can make updates to the board page. So hopefully by the next meeting we can have some progress on that. So thank you. And then we talked about the continuation of pushing out our updates through the township channels, which has been working out pretty good. And then the final thing we talked about which we will start here soon, just starting to promote the advisory board and the advisors that we need. So coming up with the communications materials, those sort of things, so that the advisory committee can go out there, communicate, and recruit advisors. So those are the priorities for the next couple weeks.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments for Mr. Hyatt? Anyone else want to add to any of that? Thank you. Moving along to the curriculum committee. Dr. Niskowitz?
Thank you, Mrs. Gross, for printing out the wonderful notes that you keep all the time. We had a very healthy discussion yesterday, and I'll just give brief explanations of the agenda. We were discussing world languages, and the question was, are we being comparable in our selection of only having Spanish for our world language? What are the other schools doing? What are the other districts doing so that we're preparing them for the high school? Then we discussed the Math Summer 2025 virtual facilitators for students transitioning to the C level or accelerated levels. And Mrs. Gross explained that these positions are for children that are going to be basically skipping a grade level in this thing, and so they're doing it over the summer. That it's self-paced. Then we discussed the grade level waivers. So, and that has to do with children that are coming from other districts, so that we can so the teachers can assess where they should be placed. Special education curriculum writing. It's on the board agenda that there's going to be additional special ed curriculum writing this summer to add to the modifications and accommodations that special ed children will be needing. Then with the last two things, the 9/11 exhibit that was discussed last month, we're still working on that. We're trying to see how we can fit it into our budget, how we can get monies to get this here. It's already booked till, I think, 2028. Was that the date? So, and Mrs. Seward I have to commend her. She did a lot of background research for us. So, and now it's in the hands of Mr. Balone. So, thank you, Mrs. Seward. And then we got, the best part of the meeting was the steam tank challenge presentation. We got to watch it on TV, and it was great. It was really, the kids did a wonderful, wonderful job. It was a little tech problem, but it was worked out, and it was wonderful, and I can't wait to find out the results. That's it. Thank you.
Can I ask a question on
Yes.
what you had said? Mrs. Seward, I know you had that really wonderful idea of the 9/11 memorial. What is the dollar amount, Dr. Miskowitz, that you're referring to?
It was high, yeah. Do you have
So
that?
typically the 2-day stay for the Never Forget exhibit is $14,000. But for school districts, they like to almost piggyback on another local exhibit so that they could offer it to us, a 2-day exhibit for $7,500. So it's, a little more than half of what we would have normally paid, but I know the amount allotted for the cattle car was $5,000 per day, so we were like comparing the two. The district paid for 1 day, and who paid for the other? I'm sorry, it's slipping my mind.
Karma through the
Right. And
Jewish
Karma paid for
Federation.
the second day, so we actually just very briefly touched on maybe applying for a grant, maybe through the MEF to supplement for the over budget of it, but the baton has proudly been passed to Mr. Balone and Mrs. Gross because Mrs. Gross is attending a virtual presentation for 9/11 material, and now they'll be in touch with the woman, Jackie, my contact at the Stephen Siller Foundation. So things are moving along, but because the 25th anniversary is on the horizon, they're not taking any reservations for all of 2026. So that kind of puts a hold on it, and now they're booking into 2027 and 2028. So the cost was one part of it, the availability is another part of it. It's definitely a lot of moving parts. It's not as easy as I thought it would be.
I don't think, I think that your proposal makes sense, and I think the 7,500, I think we can get creative. I know I won't be here at that time period, but I think that whether we collect donations or however we can get it, I think it would be great.
Right, so we were even talking about having it open to the public, so maybe the public could contribute to the cost of it if they would like to come see the exhibit. But again, these are all just, you know, talking points, and I will only have one kid left in the district by that time, so I won't be on the board at that time either. So again, Mr. Balone, Ms. Gross, the curriculum committee, I entrust that they'll, you know, make it happen.
Ms. Ewart, thank you again also for bringing that up. We had a really good conversation about the importance of this, and you know, I don't see the cost of this being extravagant in the context of the value of an education and the experience that our students would get from it. So whatever I can do to help sort of, you know, with grants or fundraising and things like that, if we had to, I would be happy to help be a part of that.
Logistically, it wouldn't even cost that much less if we bused the kids to the 9/11 Museum in Manhattan. Between busing and paying to get into the museum, and if you took all of the 8th grade, let's just hypothetically say, and brought them to the 9/11 Museum, it's like $60 to even walk through the door, and busing and chaperones and, you know, the whole kit and caboodle. So thanks, I appreciate the support of it though.
And it's and quite frankly, it's probably a better experience for them here than it would be for them to go there.
Yeah, I was recently there, and it was an amazing, incredible experience.
Yeah.
But also, Mr. Balone brought up a good point about the age appropriateness of the Never Forget
There are some
exhibit.
pieces that could be,
Obviously, there's very sensitive information that is brought on with this type of exhibit, so that's another moving part.
That is very true, yeah.
Well, the cattle part had accommodations to be age appropriate because there were some graphic details about it. So that was something that we learned from having an immersive experience in the districts already, that we're a K-8 district. A lot of people have a hard time as adults, you know, reliving museums and exhibits like that. So that was something else taken into consideration, but it feels really nice to know that we could put our heads together with something like this and just bring a good experience to the kids and enrich them more in culture.
Did I see correctly the material that you shared with us recently? There were some dates in 2025 that were potentially available, but I think it's very hard to sort of plan that this
It's right around the
fast.
corner. It's the week of Thanksgiving and the first week of December. So it's literally right here. So with the referendum on board,
Yeah,
you know, like
there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. So like I said, as long as the conversation is moving and if there's any other immersive experiences that come from this as well, it's a great snowball effect.
Could you just share the materials with us? I'm just eager to see what it would look like.
Sure, I can forward the email.
I think there was a link in the email that Ms. Ewart shared with us.
Yeah, I'll share it with all of you. It's the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. It's on
Yep.
their website, the Never Forget exhibit. But I'll share it with you.
And there was a
what we
video
shared with us.
that showed the experience of actually, this is a huge trailer
Yeah.
that requires a lot of flat space, and as I liked to appreciated her explanation, 6 very strong people to help set it up.
Yes. There's an actual steel beam inside of it from
Yeah.
the site. It's really, again, I don't know if beautiful is the right word, but it's very touching.
Can you forward that email to everyone on the board? Because I didn't get the.
Yeah, I think it was shared with the
curriculum
curriculum
committee.
committee, and we'll be happy, I can forward it to them without.
No problem. It wasn't intentional to be
Yeah,
held
no,
back from anyone. It was just the curriculum committee.
Yep. I'll be happy to share it. Okay, policy committee, Ms. Gandhi's not here today, so Mr. Balone, you'll do that?
Yes. So the policy committee met on May 5th, and the primary focus for that meeting are the 2 policies that you see under first readings for tonight. Our brand new technology strategy, policy 8100. You'll notice that is in its entirety. It's bold because it's brand new, and that's why you see that. And then policy 1523, the comprehensive equity plan policy. We made some minor changes to that with some input from the affirmative action team. Thank you to the 3 board members who contributed to that back in, I think it was April. So that helped inform that policy, number 1523. And we also touched on the need, due to some of our, not due to, but in alignment with some of our public comments, regarding any policy that deals with PTAs, PTOs, MEF, scope, any organization that raises funds, that we should be looking at all of those policies related to those organizations. So that's something that we're putting on the docket for the future. And of course, anytime we make this, policy changes like that, we'll also bring that to, we meet monthly with the PTAs, PTOs, scope, MEF, CPAG also comes, but they don't raise money. So anytime it affects them, we would certainly share any of those proposed changes and get that feedback from them. So that's to come on the horizon. So thank you for raising those issues and bringing those to light. And that's it for policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Malone? All right, thank you. We're going to move on to the agenda and to financial business operations matters. Ms. Mendez, would you read that?
Sure. The superintendent of schools submits the following resolutions for approval. 1, transfers. 2, list of bills. 3, secretary monthly reconciliation reports. 4, travel. 5, harassment, intimidation, bullying report. 6, approval of professional services agreement with Center State Engineering. 7, approval of joint transportation agreement with Colts-Neck Township Public School District. 8, approval of transportation agreement, case number 951-2526 ESY. 9, approval of transportation agreement, case number 951-2526 school year. 10, approval of transportation agreement, case 972-2526 ESY. 11, approval of transportation agreement, case 972-2526 SY. 12, tax levy. 13, participation in coordinated transportation with the Educational Services Commission of New Jersey, ESCNJ. 14, school bus emergency evacuation drill report. 15, approval of agreement with Cablevision Lightpath NJ LLC. 16, approval of agreement with Epic Environmental Services LLC. 17, amended resolution, approval of agreement for all care therapy service. 18, amended resolution, approval of agreement, Monmouth Ocean Educational Services Commission. 19, home instruction. 20, state contract purchases. I so move.
Thank you very much. Can I have a second? Dr. Miskowitz, any discussions on any of these items?
Yes, I have a question for number 18. For the MOESC, I understand that as a board last year, or for the September 4th of 24 to June 30th of 25, we had approved in the July 16, 24 meeting $100,000. It would not exceed $100,000 for the contract with MOESC, and it looks like we're amending that cost to not exceed $156,000, so an additional $56,000. Can you just clarify or tell me, did something change, or what is that additional cost?
The services for behavior have upticked due to the amount of students that need those services, so we have to raise the amount because we were scarily approaching that threshold very fast, and then we're raising it to $156,000 because we're anticipating that's what we're going to need up until the end of the school year. But we were getting close to that limit, and we're just raising it. So it may not get to 156, but we feel that's a comfortable number to just not to exceed until the end of the school year.
Okay, so thank you for that. And so not to exceed 156 by the end of this school year, so in the next month or so?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions on any of these items? Okay, Mr. Carabello, can we have a roll call?
Mrs. Seward?
Caught me off guard, yes.
Mrs. Belomo?
Yes.
Mrs. Carrero?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
Yes.
Mr. Lalansky?
Yes.
Dr. Miskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
And Mr. Cohen?
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. We're going to move on to curriculum matters. Dr. Miskowitz, would you read that one, please?
Sure. The superintendent of schools submits the following resolution for approval. 1, affirmative action team. 2, comprehensive equity plan. I so move.
Thank you very much. Can I have a second? Ms. Mendez, any discussions on any of the items under curriculum? I see none. Mr. Carabello, please. Roll call.
Mrs. Palomo?
Abstain.
Mrs. Carrera?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
Yes.
Mr. Lansky?
Abstain from my name, yes to everything else.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Dr. Miskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Seward?
Yes.
And Mr. Cohen?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. For the record.
Okay. You have that correctly?
Yes. So Mrs. Carrero is abstaining from her name only.
Yes. That was Mr. Lansky's as well. Okay. All right. We are moving on to the next item, personnel matters. Mr. Hyatt, would you read that?
Sure. Personnel matters. The superintendent of schools submits the following resolutions for approval. 1, retirement. 2, resignations. 3, employment, transportation coordinator. 4, amended salary, certificated staff. 5, amended salaries, non-certificated staff. 6, stipend, supervisor of buildings and grounds, 2024, 2025, and 2025-2026 school year. 7, reassignment, certificated staff. Reassignments transferred, certificated staff. 9, transfers, certificated staff. Long one. 10, transfers, non-certificated staff. 11, curriculum writing, ELA, assessment revisions, grades 1 through 8. Curriculum writing, gifted and talented. PEP revisions, grade K through 1. 13, math, summer 2025 virtual facilitators and students transitioning to C-level or accelerated math. 14, curriculum writing, math, revised units of study based on feedback, grades K through 5. 15, math, revised units of study based on feedback, grades 6 through 8. Curriculum writing, math, revised units of study based on feedback, algebra 1, geometry. Curriculum writing, math, revised Google Docs and link kit compatibility based on formatting and data, grades 1 through 3. Curriculum writing, math, revised Google Docs and link kit compatibility based on formatting and data, grades 4 through 5. About halfway through. 19, curriculum writing, math, revised Google Docs and link kit compatibility based on formatting and data, grades 6 through 8. Curriculum writing, math, revised Google Docs based on formatting and data, algebra 1, geometry. Curriculum writing, math, check Google Docs, same as above, grades 1 through 5. Curriculum writing, math, check same as above, grades 6 through 8, algebra 1, geometry. 23, grade level waiver assessments, 24, ESL screening, 25, mentor resource facilitator, 2025-2026 school year, 26, curriculum writing, health services, nurses, updated nurses manual, 27, curriculum writing, special education, ELA, assessment revisions, grade 1 through 5, 28, curriculum writing, same as above, grades 6 through 8, 29, same as above, grades K through 5, curriculum writing, special education math, revised units of study, grades 6 through 8. Curriculum writing, 31. Curriculum writing, special education math, modify Google Docs, and link kit items, grade 1 through 5. 32, same as above, grade 6 through 8. 33, curriculum writing, special education, specialized reading room program, grade 2 through 8. 34, curriculum writing, special education 4, is that 4? For
Tag
ELA.
me in. Tag me in.
What's that?
Tag me in. Tag me in. I'll finish for you. It's so much.
Is that permissible?
There's 51 items.
I got to keep going.
Okay.
Thank you, though. I appreciate it. You can see I'm about to pass out. Where was I? 34 I read, grades 1 through 5. 36, curriculum writing, special education for supplemental resources, scope and sequence, grades 6 through 8. Curriculum writing, special education, executive functioning, scope, and sequence, grade K through 8. 37, curriculum writing special education LLD program, supplemental resources grade 6 through 8. 38, curriculum writing special education autism program, supplemental resources grade K through 8. 39, curriculum writing special education preschool thematic curriculum writing. 40, curriculum writing special education WJV materials and integration into educational evaluations. 41, curriculum writing special education ERI, supplemental support. 42, school counseling summer work. 43, student observations. 44, paid medical disability leave. 45, unpaid leave of absence.
One more.
46, amended resolutions, leave date.
I so move.
That's it.
That's it.
I so move.
Take some water.
Thank you for your support on that.
Can I have a second, please? Ms. Carrera, all of your fellow board members are appreciative that they didn't get picked to read that one, Mr. Hyatt, so thank you for stepping up on that one. Any discussions on these items? Seeing no discussions, Mr. Caravello, would you do a roll call,
So yes,
please?
just for number 9, transfers certificated staff, sorry. Carol Ann Foreman, it says that she's being transferred from Frank J. Dugan Elementary. It should read DeFino Central Elementary. So just that correction. Third one down.
Instead of Abbott.
Instead of Dugan, it should be DeFino.
Oh, got it.
Okay, Mr. Caravello, would you take a roll call as amended?
Sure. Mr. Alonsky?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Dr. Miskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Seward?
Yes.
Mrs. Belomo?
Yes.
Mrs. Carrero?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
Yes.
And Mr. Cohen?
Yes, with one note that item number 3, Mr. Gregory Cohen, is not related to me in any way as far as I know. So I just want that perfectly clear so I don't have to abstain on that. And Mr. Ballone just pointed out that Mr. Cohen is actually in the audience, so welcome.
Yes, congratulations, Mr. Cohen.
You didn't recognize him, he's definitely not related.
All right, I
Are you
understand
related?
Huh?
Are you not related?
Really not related, no. Mr. Ballone, you have retirement comments?
Yes, thank you. Retirement comments for Lorene Labuza. Lorene Labuza's journey in education has been nothing short of extraordinary, touching countless lives and shaping the Marlboro community for over 2 decades. From her roots in Marlboro, where she attended Asher Holmes Elementary School, Marlboro Middle School, and graduated from Marlboro High School, her passion for education has always been deeply personal. Her career began as a student teacher at both Asher Holmes and Marlboro Middle School in the fall of 1999. And then in January of 2000, she was offered a position at Robertsville, where she shared her love of learning with 4th grade students. In the fall of 2000, she transitioned to Marlboro Middle School, where she was able to specialize in life science and share her enthusiasm and passion for the subject with her 7th grade students. It was in 2003, when this school, Marlboro Memorial Middle School, opened its doors, that Lorene truly found her professional home. As one of the founding educators of Memorial, she continued to ignite curiosity and a love of science in her students. Her impact only deepened when she became vice principal in 2014. In this role, Lorene's dedication of students extended beyond the classroom, guiding the school with kindness, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to academic excellence. As the K-8 science supervisor for the district, Lorene was instrumental in shaping not only the science curriculum, but also fostering a culture of collaboration and growth across the district. She has been a mentor, a leader, and a friend to so many. Her thoughtful leadership and tireless dedication to both her students and colleagues have left an indelible mark on the Marlboro School community. As she steps into her retirement, we celebrate not only the remarkable educator she is, but the extraordinary human being who has inspired generations of students and educators alike. Lorene's influence will continue to resonate in the classrooms, hallways, and hearts of everyone she's touched. We wish her a retirement filled with all the joy and fulfillment she so richly deserves. Her legacy is one that will live on. Congratulations, Lorene.
What an amazing story. I mean, you want to talk about somebody who has such deep ties to the Marlboro Township Public School System. You can't get anything more deeper than this. From learning to training to teaching to retirement. Wow. Thank you so much, Mrs. Labuza, for the lives that you have touched. What an incredible story. Wow. Okay. Can't top that. Let's move on to the next item, which is policy development, community relations. Ms. Carrero, would you do that one?
Policy development and community relations matters. The superintendent of schools submits the following resolutions for approval. 1, first readings. I so move.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please? Mr. Lolansky. Any discussions on this item? I see no discussions. Mr. Caravello, would you do a roll call, please?
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Dr. Miskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Seward?
Yes.
Mrs. Belomo? Mrs. Carrero?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
Yes.
Mr. Lolansky?
Yes.
And Mr. Cohen?
Yes. Okay, we are up to our liaison reports. We're going to start out with Ms. Seward. Freehold Regional High School and Abbott, please.
I'm going to read this from under the table, I feel like. Okay. Thank
Worse than
you.
last time?
Well, I guess that's to be TBD. Thank you, Michael Messinger, for the update. I'm going to read it verbatim from the email. Last night we had our May meeting, which was May 6th, which was also their budget meeting. I had pointed out last month that D-Day had arrived. Well, as a result, the board approved a budget last night of $236.3 million that included a tax increase of $19 million. This is an increase in the tax levy of 8.66%. However, Marlboro residents will see a tax increase of 13%. Marlboro residents will go from paying $0.514 per $100 assessed value of their home to $0.581 per $100 of assessed value. The tax increase is so much higher than other towns due to the state's formula based on enrollment and assessed values of property in the town. Taxes were increased so that the board could avoid having pay-to-play for extracurricular activities, the end of courtesy busing, higher class sizes, and potentially closing a school that would require Marlboro students to be redistricted. Magnet schools were also in jeopardy of being reduced. The tax increase will be spent on adding 10 teachers, in math, science lab renovations, a gym floor at Marlboro High School, and boilers. Down the road, the district will be looking at spending tax revenues on roofing, plumbing, and air ventilation in classrooms. The state would have allowed the board to increase taxes by $30 million, since that is the amount we are below adequacy. The board voted to approve a $19 million increase. Marlboro pays 23% of the tax levy in the district. Even though the state has cut funding from $50 million to $29 million to Freehold Regional High School District, most recently they cut another $965,000 despite S2 cuts supposedly being over with. S2 strikes again. In other news, a new vice principal was hired at Freehold Township High School, and the principal at Freehold Borough is retiring effective September 1st. Grim, I know. And this one is from Mr. Perno at the Abbott Early Learning Center. Kindergarten field trip to Furneaux Woods was a huge success. Students enjoyed learning about local plants and animals. We are busy hatching butterflies in each class. Within the next week or so, classes will start to have their butterfly release celebrations. Due to rainy weather, the PTO Spring Fling has been rescheduled to June 9th. The event will feature music, dancing, and a variety of games and crafts. A few things coming up. Teachers are busy planning the ends-of-year celebrations. Each class plans something unique: parties, concerts, picnics. Each class plans something special to celebrate a year of learning. Field Day is coming up on May 29th. There are a variety of outdoor events planned for the day. And we have our annual chick hatching program coming up on June 2nd. Students will be studying the life cycle of a chick and observing them as they hatch. Students will also help care for the newly arrived chicks until they return to the farm. That's all.
Thank you. There's something exciting about watching the chicks hatch. Next up is the Marlboro Education Foundation and Dugan. Ms. Gandhi's not here. Dr. Miskowitz, do you have? You got Dugan. And I think, Mr. Hyatt?
I have a quick update on MEF if you want me to.
Okay, let's do MEF first, and then we'll do
Do you
Dugan.
want me to do MEF and Asher?
Well, you'd have to do MEF, Asher, and Monmouth County School Boards.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So the quick update on Marlboro Educational Foundation, I think they've paid all their vendors and got a tally for the Wizards game. They raised over $21,000, I believe. So that will all go to, obviously, educational grants that teachers can apply to across the district. So just a thank you to the community for coming out and selling that out. They raised pretty good revenue that will directly benefit our schools.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you to the MEF for supporting our schools and our grants. That's a great number. From what I understand, that was the largest. Is that?
That I didn't ask, but I can find out.
I heard that somewhere. I don't know where I heard it, but I thought I read it somewhere or I heard it somewhere.
I remember what they raised last year. It's definitely substantially higher, so probably.
Well, that's great. I mean, it was a sold-out event. And
I'm going to play next year.
you're going to play?
You better believe it. I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to practice with him.
So when we update the MEF policy, no board members are allowed to participate in MEF.
I mean, I really couldn't protect myself out there.
Fair enough. I don't have an update from Monmouth County. They had their board meeting actually May 6th, the same time as our board meeting, where they honored their Teacher of the Year and a couple other things. I don't think I'll have an update because that was their last meeting of the year. For Asher, I have an update. So May is shaping up to be a fun-filled and exciting month at Asher. NJSLA testing is finishing up, and they are gearing up for the PTA Color Run, which is this Friday. The 5th grade picnic at Black Bear was a huge success. Both the kids and adults had a great day of paddle boating, obstacle courses, craft sports, and lots of food and ice cream. They have a school-wide assembly plan for the day after Memorial Day weekend, and then they will prepare for all June has to offer, including a buy one, get one book fair, band concert, PTA carnival, field day, and other fun 5th grade activities that lead up to the moving up ceremony. Earlier this month, they celebrated Staff Appreciation Week, and they cannot thank the Asher PTA enough for all they did to celebrate each and every one of the staff members. Fresh donuts, coffee, 2 fabulous lunches, and candy table, bubbly drinks, I don't know what that is, but sounds delicious, and popcorn bar, along with yard decorations with a circus theme, really make us feel like the greatest teachers, staff on earth. They are lucky to be supported by these wonderful parents and guardians. And then finally, on May 6th, they took the time to celebrate School Nurses Day with one of our one and only nurse, Neary. Thank you, Miss Neary, for the care you show all students and staff daily. You are the crazy glue that keeps our circus safe and healthy. That concludes my updates.
Thank you very much. Dr. Miskowitz, we'll do yours when we do all 3 of them. I'm just going to continue down my list first. Marlboro Township and Marlboro Middle School, Mr. Lewanski.
Yep. Thanks to Lynn Franco. This Marlboro swim team is holding tryouts at the Marlboro Swim Club on June 9th from 4:30 to 6 p.m. For more information, email Marlboro Marlins Swim Team at gmail.com. Monday, May 26th, the Township Veterans Volunteer Committee will hold a Memorial Day ceremony at 11 a.m. at the Veterans Memorial in front of Town Hall. This is a short ceremony. All are welcome. Light refreshments to follow. Additionally, Town Hall and the Recycling Center will be closed Monday, May 26th in observance. From Pistol, Milwaukee at the middle school, very special thank you to PTO and MMS parents who prepared and hosted an amazing Staff Appreciation Week of treats, raffles, brunch, a luncheon, ice cream sundaes, and more to celebrate the staff. The circus theme was incredible. Every day was a new surprise. Thank you to everyone who contributed to the week of events and surprises. The events in May include May 21st, the final music concert of the year at 7 p.m., May 22nd, peer-to-peer family night beginning at 5:30 p.m., May 30th, the 31st, a music competition trip to Hershey Park. Grade level trips have been planned this month. 6th graders will visit Great Adventure Safari and see a show at the Algonquin Theater. 7th graders recently had a class trip to medieval times. And 8th grade recently had a great time on their class trip to I Play America. And they're going to begin planning for graduation very shortly. From the PTO and Lauren, thanks to all those who donated bags of clothing and other items to our spring clothing drive, we were able to raise almost $800. Attention parents and guardians of 8th graders. Lawn signs and keepsake beach towels orders have been submitted to our vendors, and pickup details will be communicated within the next week. If you purchase a graduation logogram for your student, please note they will be decorated after school on Friday on June 6th, and soon-to-be graduates will see them when they come into school on Monday. The 8th grade dance will take place on June 11th at the Grand Marquis. 8th graders will have a one-session day. Wristbands for mittens will be distributed in the school that morning. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Lewandowski. Moving on to New Jersey School Boards and Memorial, Ms. Mendez.
Yes, I just want to say you left out the Almost Eras tour that the township hosted. I was going to go, but Annette wouldn't join me. Anyway. Anyway.
Average age was 8. I just want
Okay, so we'll start with NJSBA. On May 10th, they had their delegate assembly, and so I did attend that. It was down at the Mercer County School, and they had a couple of things that they were doing just to give a little line of sight into what that means. So when there's voting that takes place at this delegate assembly, each of the districts can, I'm your delegate, but each district can send a delegate can go. Not everybody goes, but it's good for informational purposes. But what happens after these votes take place, if it passes or if it doesn't pass, is that then NJSBA can add it to their policies, whatever passes. We don't have NJSBA, so the impact is minimal. But what they can do is they then can take that information and advocate and lobby to local government for actual change outside of just NJSBA policy. So that's what the delegate assembly, its purpose is, and so it's an interesting place to meet other board members and so forth. So anyway, so I attended that. There were a couple of pieces that came up, and I'm not going to get too in the weeds, but I do have a booklet here if anybody's interested in reading it. It's also on their site, what it was. They have a variety of things. But there were a couple of votes that took place. One was on esports. Some districts do actually have esports in their schools, and they wanted to award esports varsity letters. So they wanted to make esports comparable to other sports like baseball and softball and football.
Just elaborate on what esports is, because I was pretty floored.
Oh, yeah, I was sharing that. Esports, for anybody that doesn't know, is actually gaming, right? And as we know, because some of us know some serious gamers, they take it very seriously, and it's its own sport. So they were using that as a way of, hey, maybe they're not playing out in a field per se, but they do want to actually award varsity letters. And there were a lot of conversations about why people do or don't agree with that. And so that vote did pass. Again, it would be in NJSBA's policies. We don't have them, but anyway, it's there, and they can advocate for it if they'd like. The other one that came up was about nurses. And so that one, they actually want to, I guess they have a shortage of nurses in this school district that proposed it. So districts could propose a resolution and so forth. And this district felt that they wanted to lower the requirement for a nurse to not have an RN per se. And so a lot of conversation people had around that. And so they want to eliminate the bachelor's degree requirement for a school nurse. And they had other requirements, so forth. So that vote did pass as well. Again, it's a policy of theirs. We don't have them, but I just wanted to let you all know. And there were a couple of other resolutions. The other one, the last one that came up in this meeting was that right now a student in high school can miss school and have an excused absence for if they're in the military and they're going to visit the school or college visits and so forth. And so they wanted to add a piece where if a child was visiting a trade school, right, because maybe they're not going on the college path and they're going to trade, they wanted to make your visit to a trade school an exempt absence as well. And so that vote did pass as well. So those were the three that were from that day. It was a really interesting day, and there was a lot of lessons learned there. So just wanted to share that with you. And then for Memorial. The peer-to-peer held a special event on May 14th. The student leaders facilitated discussions about issues of substance experimentation, trust, and decision-making that kids in middle school face with 7th grade students and the important adults in their lives. Thank you to all who attended.
This past weekend, our select music ensembles competed at the Music in the Parks Festival in Hershey Park. Our select choir and orchestra received first place finishes and superior ratings. Our select band received a first place finish and an excellent rating. There's also a student who won the award for Best Choral Accompanist, and congrats to our directors, Mr. Goley, Mrs. Poole, and Mrs. Dokas, and to all our musicians. This Thursday is the 6th grade spring concert at 7 p.m. And then thank you, Mr. Pacifico, and then from the PTA, we raised about $4,000 in donations for Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week from families, so thank you to all the families. We also got a lot of donations from local businesses and restaurants and had a fantastic Staff Appreciation Week that was catered with all different things, gifts, breakfast, and all these cool things. We got some beautiful notes from the staff, so thank you so much for that. 8th grade, they're coming, they're graduating soon, but anyway, the dance is coming up. We're excited. Lawn signs are for sale until tomorrow is the final day. Locograms are until May 28th, the sales, and we're looking forward to the 8th grade trip.
Thank you, Ms. Mendez. Ms. Seward, I know you're going to say, how does he know this? There are about 3,000 school districts across the country that have these sports programs. There are a few here in New Jersey that actually do have it, including Atlantic County.
Are you going to tell me you got your varsity letter?
Actually a very good, successful program, huh? Yep. Well, they started out in college. They began then becoming very popular
I'm
in
not
high school.
discrediting
They're very competitive programs nationally.
I know, fully aware. I just was surprised at the varsity letter piece of it.
In college, they're actually
always associated that with the physical.
In college, they're actually controlled by the same organization that controls college sports. The NCAA controls the esports programs there. It's incredible.
There were some parents there who came up to the microphone, well, board members, also parents whose children actually had scholarships to colleges based on esports. So there was a very healthy discussion on.
Listen, if my husband could have got one for playing Halo back in the day, it would have happened. So I get it.
All right, thank you. Robertsville, Ms. Carrera.
All right, thanks to Mr. G for preparing this report, and congratulations again on his respect certificate. It's very well deserved. This week, our 5th graders will enjoy their well-deserved 5th grade barbecue at Frog Bridge. Our band concert for 4th and 5th grade families will surely be a hit. Field day preparations are well underway. The glow dance that was sponsored by the PTO was so much fun for our students in grades 1 through 4. A special shout out to Mrs. Georges, our teachers and support staff who executed NJSLA testing with precision and efficiency. Mrs. Carney organized such a memorable art show this year. The displays truly showcase the skill of our students as well as their love of art. Robertsville is very excited to welcome the students from Marlboro Memorial Music Program to present to our 5th graders. Robertsville is also gearing up for our moving up ceremony on June 18th. As days draw closer to the close of the school year, our teachers and students continue to consume knowledge, show respect, and enjoy every moment of their school life. We are so proud of all of our Roadrunners.
Thank you, Ms. Carrero. Dr. Niskowitz, Scope, Morrell, and then Dugan, please. Is your microphone on? Thank you.
I'll do Dugan first.
Sure.
Okay. May is notoriously busy. May is a notoriously busy month, as our Dugan staff and students cannot help but think about their upcoming summer break. During the week of May 5th, our staff was pampered by the PTO, showing them well-deserved appreciation for their commitment to all our students. Dugan truly would be a blank canvas without our amazing faculty. The character pillar of digital citizenship was recognized through engaging digital citizenship escape rooms in grades 3, 4, and 5. Thank you, Dr. Berry and Mrs. Balawa, for organizing a fun and educational experience. Dugan's kindergarten visited Longstreet Farm for a field trip, and the 1st and 3rd graders are looking forward to their upcoming trip at the end of the month. Bravo to the 4th and 5th grade band, who under the direction of Mr. Young performed marvelously at the spring concert. Lastly, today concluded our regular administration of NJSLA testing, and we are looking forward to rounding out the school year in the coming weeks. Yay. I'm talking from past experience. Yay. May's Battle of the Grades continued with, this is from the PTO, I'm sorry, Dugan PTO report. May's Battle of the Grades continued with fun May the Force Be With You event, where Dugan students were encouraged to join either the light or dark side by wearing either white or black to school. Double points were awarded to classrooms whose teacher also dressed for the theme. The Dugan 5th grade farewell dance will take place on Friday, May 30th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. This is a drop-off event and is open to 5th grade students only. Registration is required by May 29th. Attention 5th grade parents, celebrate Dugan friendship and memories with a special day of fun and activities at Black Bear Lake Day Camp on Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. The cost includes transportation, lunch, snacks, activities, t-shirt, towel, and string bag. T-shirts, towels, and bags will be distributed before the week of the celebration. The picnic lunch will consist of an unlimited choice, including hamburgers and cheeseburgers, hot dogs, black bean veggie burgers, grilled chicken, macaroni and cheese, fixings bar, potato salad, pasta salad, coleslaw, potato chips, and pretzels, watermelon cookies, bottled water, iced tea, and lemonade. The camp is nut-free, but foods may contain other allergens, so please contact Danielle Belomo via email with allergy concerns. Don't forget to order the 24-25 Dugan yearbook through our website, duganelementary.ptboard.com. Save the date for the annual Dugan Art Show, Thursday, June 12th, in the cafetorium from 5 to 7. All Dugan students will have artwork displayed. Now, this is for Morel. On 5/20 today, the band concert with the students in the grades 4 and 5 bands will have already put on a concert for their peers during the school day, and the families saw it in the evening. Once again, they are thrilled that the NJSLA science testing is completed. Art show is going to be on 5/22. Parents will be invited into the halls of Morel to see a showcase of student artwork throughout the year. 5/27, grade 2 choral concert will be presented to peers during the school day and families in the evening. On June 2nd, Marlboro Middle School conflict managers will visit the 5th grade homerooms for transition to middle school lessons. In 6/4, final PTO meeting for the year and PTO volunteer appreciation breakfast. 6/6 will be the grade 5 bagel breakfast, grade 4 biography presentations. 6/9, grade 3 recorder concert. 6/11, grade 5 moving up ceremony. 6/13, kindergarten flag day celebration. 6/17, field day, and 6/19, class parties. And we're ending the school year soon. So now, I have one more. This is for Scope. Scope would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to the many parents who attended our recent Night of Inspiration featuring Ben Hartman, an incredible autism advocate whose message left a lasting impact on all who joined. We're also deeply appreciative of the administration for their support in making this meaningful event possible. We loved working with Circle of Friends to sponsor the delicious food for the evening. As we look ahead, we're excited to share that planning is already underway for our end-of-the-year celebrations and summer programming. The students in ESY can look forward to some fun and ice cream treats to keep cool and celebrate the season. The end.
Thank you, Dr. Miskowitz. And CPAG.
Sorry, Brian, just one sec. Can I just shout out Mr. Young, the band director at Dugan? We had a concert. I'm sure it was an oversight that it wasn't on the update, but 4th and 5th grade band concert at Dugan was adorable. The kids did so good, and Mr. Young is, he's like a Jack Black at that school. The kids really look up to him, and they really performed so nice, and I just wanted to say from a parent's perspective, it was really gratifying to see all the hot crust buns, hard work played off. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Young.
Thank you for sharing that, too. Okay, CPAG and Defino, Ms. Palomo.
Sure, I'll start with Defino. Thank you, Dr. Stradek and Nicole, for the update. We're racing toward the end of an awesome school year. We have a fun-packed May and June at Defino with concert, wax museums, field day, and end-of-year celebrations. Kicking things off on May 27th, our third graders are turning into time travelers with their wax museum projects. Picture these kids decked out as hysterical superstars, famous athletes, or celebrities, giving mini speeches about their lives and accomplishments. They truly bring history to life with this project. On May 29th, our fifth graders get a VIP visit from the Memorial Middle School Band. These middle school rock stars will share the scoop on joining band next year and treat our kids to a couple of musical numbers. Fast forward to June 6th, when our kindergarten crew shine at the end of the year celebration. Then, on June 12th, our fourth and fifth graders take the stage for a band concert. These students have made incredible progress under the direction of Mr. Young, and we cannot wait to see them perform. On June 17th at 9:30 a.m., we have our moving up ceremony for our fifth graders. It's a heartfelt send-off as they gear up for the middle school adventures. We can't wait to celebrate our fifth graders. The next day, on June 18th, we have field day. It's hands down one of the most joy-packed days of the year. To top it all off, our incredible PTO is hosting a family ice cream social on June 19th to scoop up some sweet memories and celebrate an unforgettable school year. Next, I have the CPAG liaison report. Thank you, Angie and Robin, for getting this report to me. CPAG celebrated all the staff, teachers, paraprofessionals, PT, OT, speech teachers, BOE, and transportation drivers last week during NJSBA Special Education Week. MTPS is the glue that holds us together. Thank you to all for sticking with the job, all the encouragement, commitment, and involvement with our children all year long. The final Spring Parent Academy by Special Services will take place on May 28th and will be on the role of the BCBA and the FBA in school. Please see the March 11th email with additional information and the virtual link. The last virtual CPAG parent meeting of the school year will be on Thursday, May 29th? Yeah, May 29th. Thursday, May 29th at 7:30 p.m. Please see the CPAG Facebook page closer to the meeting for the virtual meeting link and the agenda. Please continue to check the CPAG Facebook page as webinars and resources are constantly being added that parents and guardians might be interested in. If you aren't a member of the CPAG Facebook page, this is where we provide additional resources for parents in between our regularly scheduled CPAG parent meetings.
Thank you, Mrs. Bolomo, and thank you, everyone, for your reports this month. They are always very interesting, very helpful. So thank you. All right, our next item is old business. I know, Ms. Mendez, you wanted to bring up the referendum dates.
Yes, I don't want to belabor the point. I just wanted to make sure I formally put it out there that I just would like to weigh all the options and make sure we don't run out of time. And so I just wanted to start a discussion on November versus December versus anything else that's important, I know, to all of us. And so I just want to make sure we come together and talk through the dates, that's all. So if anybody has any thoughts on it.
I'd like to try our hardest for either November or January. I think December is just such an obligatory month for families and voters to put something else on the calendar. Maybe it was not the turnout that they expected or hoped for in the past because of that. I know, school gets crazy at that time of year, family obligations gets crazy, so the third Tuesday of December is.
Can we pull up that slide from last time?
What?
Can we pull up that slide from last time? Yeah, and like what the asks were, like, because depending on
So last meeting when we presented, so the history of referendums, April 1985, pass.
I was two.
March 21st, I wasn't born. March 21st, 1995, pass.
Thank you.
March 14th, 2000, pass. January 25th, 2005, fail. September 29, 2009, pass. November 3rd, 2015, fail. And then September 28, 2016, fail. So we've never gone out in December.
Did we have?
We've never done a general?
What were the?
We did
No, we
in
did a general
November of
fail.
2015, and it failed. It was $46 million. The last one we went out for was $26 million.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like
The one in 2009 passed because it was $0, because we had leftover
Right.
money from a previous referendum we needed voter approval for.
And I'm sorry, if you could just go back, the one you just said, the latest one, the last two that were latest.
It was September 28, 2016, and it failed for $26 million.
Okay, and then what was the one before that?
November 3rd, 2015, and that failed for
So it
46
was
million.
November and September, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like there's any correlation there.
Yeah.
But, so when you talk to bond counsel, when you talk to the communications agency, when you talk to architects, they would advise you on the best time to go out? They'll give you more data, I would assume.
I mean, in reality, it really depends on the community. It really depends on how we advertise this. It depends on how we, what's our message, how we send this out, how it impacts us, and how we really discuss how this is going to make our district better, which I can tell you just from the cost of how much it costs to just put in window units in those buildings due to medical needs. The cost alone right there is draining our utility bills from window units. Any of them can be anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 BTUs to do a whole classroom. So from that aspect, it's not so much the correlation of the date, it's really just what we feel comfortable with and how, and what timeline we feel most comfortable with when it comes to like talking about our message and getting it out to the community and discussing it and continuing to discuss it.
Makes sense.
Honestly, there's no bad choice. So in reality, I think from our history, it looks like the springtime, we've had success, April and March, but that's going back to, from stats that are from anywhere from the 80s to 2000. Right, you would be delaying that longer.
Which has other impacts, not just the amount of time it will take to get the air conditioning put in, but also the potential rise in costs again.
Correct. I mean, I know tariffs have been postponed, but I don't know how long that's going to be, and the longer you wait, the longer you anticipate possibly having to ask for more.
If we do it, either November or December, will we have it for next, when would it be able to be installed? How long?
So this work, because it's very labor intensive, like you can't do it during the school day, or you'd be doing it second shift, which costs more money. So you're going to be looking at not this summer, the following summer of when that work is going on.
Next summer of 26.
Yeah, summer of
it could be
26.
Done. Yeah, started. But that, 'cause I want to get this done.
I mean, certain classrooms will still have air conditioning in Robertsville and Asher because it'll be per a medical note.
Yeah, but it's the rest of the building,
Right.
The rest of the kids, and that's the piece that I don't like, because there's no equity there. These kids are not everybody is getting the same, and everybody's paying taxes.
I know.
Everybody, their children deserve to be in a comfortable
I mean,
environment.
I've been here for 5 years, and if you go back to my discussion that I had with the board in 2021, 2022, it was a 3 to 5 year plan. So we are on that timeline.
Yeah.
It's just you have to be fiscally responsible the way you navigate this, because we do have 11 buildings, and quite frankly, shit happens. So you can't just spend all of your money on just
But I want
HVAC, to put it bluntly.
when everybody else has it, I want I want it to
It's a
be fair.
technical term.
I do.
So can I just ask then on the date then for that? So I know you're going to meet with bond counsel, and you provided a lot of the information to us in the green note, so I appreciate that. I just want to ask this question. So June 10th, I understand your meeting, you've shared all of who you're meeting with, then you're going to talk about the committee and all that. But in our next board meeting, though, by June 17th, could we, I'm just asking, make a decision so that you feel like you could have, so with that decision comes, I think, some strat planning. I think that is that in the June 10th meeting?
Yeah, so absolutely. So June 10th, one of the things will be, what are our options? And then June 17th, we can come back with really concrete information from our bond counsel saying, December will work, here's why. November will work, here's why.
Okay.
September's not going to work, here's why. And he'll give us the reasons why each date will work or not work, and what the timeline looks like after that.
And I'm sure you're going to send this, I'm just going to ask, could we get that information in advance of June 17th and maybe even before the green notes for the Friday, if you have it? I'm not rushing, I'm just asking, because that will allow us time to kind of think about our questions that we might have. If
Yeah,
not,
so
that's okay.
after our meeting, I can send an email to the full board, just knowing what we're going to discuss, and then just relay the information for the specific dates and what they recommend and why. I mean, that's not an issue.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then hopefully when we come to the June 17th meeting, we'll have enough information to where that'll be the last discussion where we figure out what date we want and we go forward with that date and streamline the process. This way we don't have to go to the 19-day window or anything and abruptly change it. We can be consistent with the date and everybody's comfortable with
And then
with
in
that
that,
date.
and I know I'm not part of the communications committee, and so I know we'll talk about all that. They'll talk about all those things too. But then I guess, I'm not sure what that council meeting will look like. Will it have like, are you mapping out a strategy there? Or is it just, they're just giving advice on language
For who?
and?
So that everybody's going to map out strategy, including that's what the communications company is going to do, is they're going to help
Yep.
us map out a strategy and what's the best approach for us to be able to relay this information to the community and also have it at the fingertips of the full board.
Right, because I just
So-
want to make sure we're doing our part in the promotion of it too. So that's why I'm just,
That's why when they spoke, they talked about a referendum committee, not knowing we have so many committees already that things can flow through. Maybe we tell them we want to act as a referendum committee as a whole.
I was just going to say,
So those are the
could we
things that you can
discuss
definitely
the
do.
committee of a whole too versus, I'm just asking. I'm not saying that one's right or wrong, just could we discuss both options?
I think having a referendum committee as a whole is the most beneficial, because if they do have Q&As, like they say they're going to host like virtual Q&As or in-person Q&As, we would just put out a public notice and we would have a meeting.
Mhm.
And that would be basically considered, a referendum hearing or a Q&A for the referendum, and everybody can be participating in it rather than just to select 3 members or 4 members or have to be rotating.
Right.
So I think that's the best way to go.
I'm fully on board with the referendum committee being a committee of the whole, because I think that's how we've been operating all along, for all the work that we've been doing in the context of the referendum.
And our finance committee is a committee as a whole, and most of the stuff has transversed through.
The only
Finance committee.
concern I have is that some of this work may require a smaller group of people to be able to get together and to work without having to trigger the open public meetings laws. So we may need to have still some workflow through communications, or we may have to have some workflow. I may have to create a ad hoc committee that would support the referendums or the communications committee, and then that way we can use that to report back out to the referendum committee.
Or we could get creative, right? If you said,
Well, the decisions of the referendum committee as a whole can actually even flow through the advisory committee when it comes to if we want certain community members or certain professionals or anybody that the communications company would recommend almost being like our outlet or our conduit to
Mhm.
even get this further to the community. That's how you can flow through those
Yeah.
those committees.
right, or
But-
even hosting like smaller subset meetings, right? If you're not doing the ad hoc, like if 4 board members can come one day, I'm just trying to get creative to not make extra work for the ad hoc. Maybe you're just like, here are 3 days, can 3 people sign up here and 4 people come here?
I think it's just most effective for us to continue to talk about it as a whole here, because then when we do reiterate our message, we can refer to people to watch these videos and see what we've discussed,
Mhm.
refer them to the website. There'll be a trail where you can gather information and knowledge on this,
Yeah.
rather than just word of mouth.
Right, so we all feel looped in, we're all promoting it, and, Okay, thank you.
I think that provides a lot of transparency too, which, that's one of my key things too. I want to make sure that everything is transparent to the people, to the public. So I think that's a great idea. Thank you for your,
But yes, I will come back to you with information regarding the special election dates and the general election date and what we are in a great position to do and what we're not. They will recommend us, Mr. Salamini will recommend us what the best date to do is and what the timelines look like for those dates.
In that meeting, is that where you're going to also come up with some potential language that will be on the ballot, or is that later?
That's just going to basically start, so the architect, the engineer will get involved. We'll be passing out information. I know the communications company will talk to the architect and engineer to start building stuff that's really specific in nature when it comes to information, and then you'll have your bond counsel basically tell everyone at that meeting how this is going to play out and how this is going to work, and that's when we'll bring up the conversation with the dates.
Okay, and then the Laura Bishop firm, I saw that you had some notes in there for us about having a meeting or something, or they'll
That's
be?
what I'm referring to.
Yeah, okay,
they're
so they'll
part of
be at that meeting as well?
Mhm.
And then will they have a strategy mapped out? I know they presented, I know I wasn't here, but I did watch the meeting. They presented what they would provide, the services. Are they now, after that meeting, going to provide like the strat plan of what they're going to?
Yeah, so they'll start reaching out, they'll start building a website for us, they'll start putting information together of what they obtained from the bond council, what they obtained from us, what they obtained from the architect and engineer, and they'll start building that. And then when we're ready to disseminate that information, that's when they come back to us and say, hey, we can do it this way, we can do it that way, we can send out this, we can send out that. And then that's when we talked before, how we would
Okay.
have a discussion on how we want that to look and how we want it to go out.
Yeah, and then my last piece on this one is that I know I raised in the last meeting about communications, so giving us, instead of monthly, which by the way, you give us great information, I'm not saying that, I'm just talking about moving forward, you're not always that person, right? I think they're gonna do some work too. So not putting it on Brian, just asking whomever, some sort of update weekly where this happened, that happened, because if you're saying they're gonna build a website, they're gonna do all these things, and just how can we get the communication of what's happening and where it's moving more than once a month? That's all I'm asking.
Okay.
Yeah, and, what may be helpful is we just map out a couple of milestones and the date that the milestone was, progressing, and just report back out on,
Yeah, I think as they
on
happen
progress.
and when they start, we just forward them to the full board.
Mhm.
And as I do, say individually, if you have any questions, reach out to me. So like when the website gets up and running,
Yep.
or if it's in a draft mode, share it with the board.
Yep.
Those sorts of
Right,
things.
and if there's, and just when you're meeting with that firm, I just ask also if they're gonna create materials that we could share, right? So if the goal is for the board members, to, which makes sense, so for us to also promote this, are there gonna be any materials that we could use, right, to post wherever we do too? Just,
Yeah,
that
and I
would be
think
a
that's the
question.
part where I was saying where anything that they advise us to make, or if they advise us to send out, we're gonna come back to the board and tell them what that is.
Yep, okay.
And then you would be able to, if that's a green light, we take them and we send them out, and we, whether it be a mail distribution or a flyer or something of that nature.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Just, Ms. Seward, going back to sort of, I know your first statement was if you had a preference, it would be
To disregard that, I think.
November or January.
No, we could renege that, because I thought that the failed referendums were in December.
That's what I was asking.
No,
That's,
that was.
thank you.
It's a moot point now, thanks.
Okay. Because personally, I mean, from what you shared so far, with absent any additional information from the advisors and recommendations that they may be able to provide us at the next meeting, to me, it sounds like December, January is probably more ideal. December being even, frankly, December being untested for us, because it sounds like we haven't done December yet. That may be the more ideal one, and if we had to, with your 19-day rule, that if we had to shift it, we can always shift it, but I'd rather shift it forward to December, January, and try not to go past that.
And I just thought being strategic, the general election sounds great because then you save on some of those costs, but whether it's a presidential election or our governor election, it's usually, that could be tough. It could get lost in the sauce per se when it comes to getting voters out to vote for that specifically. That might just be like a check on the bottom of the box because people are there with other reasons.
And the other thing is that in response to your comment about, regular updates, whatever the cadence should be on that, I'm going to definitely depend upon Mr. Carabello to be more communicative on this, since you're going to be what I view as being the top person who's going to be engaging in all of the activities associated with this. So having you provide the regular updates to the board as frequently as possible, that'd be great.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Any other questions on referendum? Any other old business? Mr. Lewandowski.
Just real quick. So, as the year of respect has gone by, first of all, I want to thank Mr. Balone, Mrs. Gross, our administrators, our staff, our students for participating. And I think we had a really good year of respect, and I think we went really well. In that vein, as June is coming and the end of the year is coming, I think as a board we should pick a new pillar for next year. It shouldn't end this year. Maybe it's kindness. I don't know. There's a bunch over there on the wall. maybe it's kindness. And maybe for next month's agenda, we can put something on the agenda to have a discussion on what our year should be next year. And just give the administration time to plan over the summer and get it going. So,
We've got 5 more years on that board. It's like a cheat sheet.
there you go, right there. So,
I like the idea, and I thank you for both, being the champion for the year in respect, but also for suggesting that we not lose sight of the fact that it's time for us to do another one.
Yep.
Great. Any other old business? Anyone want to bring up new business?
I do. I have one thing. I just wanted to let everyone know that last month, Marlboro Township Public Schools was honored by the Girl Scouts of America and the Girl Scouts of the Jersey Shore with the Good Neighbor Award. It's an award that is awarded to someone who aids in the Girl Scout program. I was involved in the nomination process with the Girl Scout troops that I lead. And I just wanted to commend Mr. Caravello for the wonderful job he does helping the Girl Scout troops facilitate their meetings and their events and always allowing us to do the best we can with administration to utilize the schools to further these girls' journey in leadership through the Girl Scouts. Unfortunately, I was there, fortunately, receiving a separate honor. Unfortunately, no one was present from Marlboro Township Public Schools, but there is a beautiful plaque that is waiting for you. I had reached out, but if you want me to pick it up or if someone wants to go in Farmingdale, I could give you the address for that.
I didn't know about this. This is
Mr. Bloom was the contact.
Okay. This is great. Thank you for sharing that.
We can have somebody pick it up.
Other new business from the board members? I just want to, no? Okay. I just actually, I'm sorry. I just want to pick up on something that Mr. Samaya said as far as sort of the board's interest or the board's focus on what they would like to do is regarding the, I guess if I remember correctly, it was referred to as the concern associated with this $50,000 that was stolen by someone in Deptford, I think it was, right? Should we as a board be looking at our policies to sort of consider whether or not we have the right policies in place to ensure the, controls or the guidance is given here in our district going forward? Is the board interested in pursuing this? Is this something that the policy committee should look at? I just wanted to get your sense or your feeling about this so that Val and I are on the policy committee, Aditi's not here, but at least it gives us guidance and direction on where you would like us to sort of begin to look and focus our work on.
I would look at the policies if I were you. I would defer that to you guys.
I just want to go over that for a second. We did, first I'm not opposed to looking at any policies. We did review and update the parent organization policies last year, or this year, I can't remember, they all blend, but we did review it. We did add in the parameters to align with the foundation policy 9191 of the requirements that the district needs a copy of the bylaws and all of the things that we required. I'm always open to looking at anything, just food for thought. PTOs and PTAs are independent organizations, so the level of oversight per se or requiring dual signatures on checks and so forth, I'm not opposed to anything, but I just want to be mindful that there are certain things we can't dictate when it comes to these organizations. But we should look, I'm not saying we shouldn't look at it, but I just wanted to put that out there. The other thing I just wanted to say about the financials, because we had very in-depth conversations under also attorney guidance, is that the board, when you open up that box of let's look at the financials per se and take an in-depth look at every single PTO or PTA, you just have to be mindful of how in-depth you're going to go when it comes to financials. And, Mr. Gross, I don't know when or where you could speak to that, but we did get guidance at one point from past attorney of being mindful of the level of oversight the board would try to kind of take on. So I think we should have discussions for sure, but I think we also need some level of guidance. They are nonprofits and they're independently run, so we can't, run the PTO or PTA, just my thought. But again, we should know things, but I don't know what we can and can't look into, so I think we should just get more guidance on that.
Anyone else want to weigh in on this? I don't disagree with you. I think that, we need to understand what the role is of the board versus, overstepping the role of our authority. And I think that's where we need advice from council, which would obviously have to be done in the context of either an executive session or even a policy committee meeting. So I think that would be a good place for us to get guidance from him, and then we can sort of look and see, come back to the board and say, this is some of the advice that we've been given, and, how much breadth or depth do we want to go into from a board perspective. That's just, it needs to help us map out what we should and should not be doing. But
Absolutely.
I think,
Can I just play devil's advocate on this for a second?
Yeah.
There's just bad people in good organizations. Doesn't necessarily mean that,
I agree with you.
one isolated incident in a different district or town should, form an investigation to our honest, hardworking volunteers. I think the PTOs sometimes come under scrutiny, and the board should stay in its lane with things like that. But then comes the question of where does it end too, right? If we're gonna have a policy for every single entity that touches any type of finances, then are we gonna look into school sports? Are we gonna look into, you have to kind of draw the line somewhere where the board isn't.
Just so it's clear, because I missaid something, or I want to make it perfectly clear. I'm not suggesting an investigation.
No, I know.
That's not what I said.
No,
I
was
specifically
speaking to the comment from earlier also, like
Okay.
that one incident that he referred to. There's things like that happen every single day.
Yeah.
It just happened in a neighboring town not that long ago, but it was a bad choice by a person not to be assumed that they should all be looked into. That's all I was saying.
I also understand it happened here a couple of years back.
Well,
So, it could happen anywhere.
it could happen anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just feel as a board, how do we make sure that we're giving the right, again, I use the word guidance, because I don't know what the scope of our authority is, but we can offer guidance.
Right.
We can offer advice. We can offer suggestions based upon best practices. There are things that we can potentially help. But I'm not suggesting that we have the authority to sort of hold anyone to responsibility.
And I just want to, and I'm with you, I just want to be mindful too of that. I think just consulting with counsel first, understanding that, but also just putting out there, I know we're all in agreement, but our PTO and PTA are vital to the heartbeat of our schools. And so I just want to always keep them looped in, which I know Mr. Blown had stated, we're going to keep them updated in your monthly meetings with them, which is great, but constant communication with them too, just out of, I would say, just a level of respect.
Right.
They dedicate countless hours, and I'm saying my farewell to the Marlboro Memorial PTA is my final year on it, and I just see them dedicate so much time. So I want to always let them know they're invaluable, which I know we are all in agreement. No one's saying they're not. I just want to make sure we're constantly communicating with them so they feel looped in, they feel like we're respecting their roles too. That's all.
No, I completely agree with that. I think, they have a much stronger and educated experience of what they do and how they do it than we can ever understand, except for, of course, Ms. Bowman. You've got firsthand experience it with as well. So.
Absolutely. And obviously they work great with our staff. The staff is amazing, the other piece of the heartbeat. So I think they all just work well together. So I just want to respect them all.
Maybe the PTOs or PTAs just need guidance on how to make sure that they are safe. We could look at it from.
I just want to be
Are you
careful
looking
and
at like
not-
a specific problem? Because, I know every PTO president and treasurer in this district. Is there a specific issue
not
that?
for me.
So what kind of guidance would you do? Are you going to give them accounting advice? Or are you
No,
gonna
not for me,
Okay.
but I do know, and that it does happen probably a lot more than we realize. And I know it for a fact, not within Marlboro, but I know it for a fact. And that's what I just, I want to protect them, not, I don't know how much input we should have from us or how this should go, but sometimes the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. And because I dealt with it personally, not me, I wasn't on the PTA or PTO piece, but I had to deal with it. So it does happen, and and it was a surprise to the people on the PTA. It was a PTA it was a surprise to them. They didn't anticipate that this would have happened, but it did.
I think that just from going to multiple PTO meetings, budgets are presented at every general membership meeting and are open to the public to see budget in, budget out, what each fundraiser makes. So just generally speaking, not any PTO in specific, but from the PTOs that I've observed, budgets are always readily available at general membership meetings, which according to bylaws occur at different rates. So maybe some have it 6 times a year, some have it 3 times a year, but that information is always available.
And it is embedded in our parent organization policy, talking about on an annual basis. I believe we put in there something about financials for on a board level, but I would just, again, caution us and be mindful that I don't want to give them guidance per se. Because I know they're all really working hard and doing a beautiful job. I just first want to know what we can and can't do, because right now they're independently run, and I don't want us to step where we don't belong. And I just want to thank them for what they do, but open to any discussion.
I don't know how it's done, but do they get audited? Do they self-audit? I don't know.
So I can only speak on Memorial. We are a PTA, so we do have.
I don't think that we should be talking about PTOs and PTA's individual financial situations.
Right, so I'm not talking about that. I can only tell you about a PTA is not their financials just in general. For New Jersey, there are some guidelines across the board that a PTA has to live to. The financial piece I can't speak to, but I can just say on a PTA level. I think, though, for me, I think I would be eager to know at some point from Mr. Gross, again, where we could line, because I don't want to take away from what they do or try to even overstep where I don't belong.
Okay, I think we're all on the same page for whatever next steps should be, which is, again, advice from our attorney, what we should or should not be doing in the context of our policies. Yeah. And then we can decide next steps, whatever the next steps should be or shouldn't be. I am fully supportive of both the work that our PTAs and PTOs do, and quite frankly, making sure that they're part of the process collaboratively in any way possible. That's, you can't do that. You can't do any of this, without transparency and without collaboration. So I'm fully informed. I'm fully on board with that. Any other comments or questions about this? Any other new business? Okay. We have public comments, round 2. Anyone signed up? I'm sorry? Oh. State your name, please, and where you're from.
Hello. I'm Danielle Belomo, Marlboro, New Jersey, and I am speaking as, I just wanted to delineate between my role on the board, and I'm speaking as a parent and PTO member. I would be remiss tonight if I didn't recognize someone in the audience. We have Officer Josh here on happenstance. Last month, we were able to recognize at Dugan all of the heroes among us in Marlboro Township. I know our social media team was there, but I haven't seen anything on social media, and I just wanted to give a shout out. The work that our police officers, our EMTs, our firefighters do in this community is incredible. We were able to have a parade around Dugan where all 600 plus students came outside with signs. Any child who had a family member or a friend that was a first responder who came, gave them a little bundt cake as they drove by. We took pictures. And as a result of that, the PTO was able to donate $700 to Officer Josh's service dog, Bolo, who he had there. And just the work that you do is incredible. And the compassion and care that you give to these animals, and Bolo specifically, is incredible and very admirable, and also a great example for the children to see. So I just wanted to say thank you here, because happenstance, you're here, and it makes it easy to thank you. And then I also wanted to recognize the Lost Stuffy Project, which helps reunite children with their lost comfort items that are lost in fires. And we were also able to give that charity $700 on behalf of the wonderful families of Dugan Elementary School. So again, Officer Josh, thank you for everything that you do, and to our first responders and the heroes among us, on behalf of Dugan, I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Officer Josh, for the work you do is right.
I would thank you. We do appreciate it. I do as a board member, so thank you.
Anyone else for public comments?
Angela Colby from Morganville, New Jersey. I just want to piggyback on some of the conversations that were had tonight regarding the referendum and the PTOs. I was going to offer a suggestion in addition to publicizing this through the Marlboro Township. It might be a good idea to talk to the PTOs and the PTAs to see what their policies are in regards to having a board member attend some of those PTO and PTA meetings to talk about the referendum and what the impacts are. I know tonight there was a conflict in a PTA meeting at MMS, and there was about 3 times the amount of parents at that PTO meeting than there is at the Board of Ed meetings. So I thought that that might be a good opportunity for you guys to publicize and talk to the parents at those meetings. A second comment or a question that I have is recently I heard about some chronic absences within some of the schools, and that there was some data collected or some kind of audit that was done within the schools. And I would like to hear more from Mr. Ballone related to what that audit entailed, what we're doing at those 2 schools to mediate that, if it's going to go district-wide, and a little bit more details, because I haven't heard any information regarding the absences and the process of improving within the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I just thank you very much for that idea about the PTAs and PTOs for referendums. It was something that I did think about. I'm sure others have thought about it, but you vocalized it for us, so thank you, and I made a note of it.
I just want to say, I did speak to Lauren before the MMS meeting tonight, and she did have on her agenda, she gave her a blob about our referendum, how it works, what we're doing for the 2 schools, and how there's no tax impact, and what she's going to present at the meeting as well tonight. So it was presented at the MMS tonight.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Usually if a district administrator coordinates with building administrators, I know from the past when I was on Abbott's board, as well as several years ago on Dugan's PTO, usually the administrator does come and talk to the general membership about anything that's upcoming on a referendum. So we've had the superintendent or the BA or a district level admin come.
I also think that that's part of the work that the Laura Bishop firm will do too, is also go out and do some of these town hall meetings or these local meetings that
They'll probably host a town hall meeting, but to go out to like the individual organizations, it's probably going to fall
on you.
Yeah.
Or us.
No,
all of us.
Our team.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Willen, did you want
to? With respect to chronic absenteeism, we have 2 schools that were identified as chronically absent, And what that means is students are required to attend school for 180 days per New Jersey Department of Education requirements. You have to be in school for 165 days to be considered not chronically absent. And if you're over that, the threshold is 10% overall. If you're over that, Memorial and Robertsville were deemed chronically absent. We sent out a survey as required by the New Jersey Department of Ed as part of a remedial measure. We're taking that data into consideration. I've also met with every single principal, really regarding their evaluation, but in terms of a lot of them, even outside of Memorial and Robertsville, had talked about chronic absenteeism, and that was another thing that I'd like to bring to the policy committee to look at our attendance policy and maybe tighten that up a little bit. The biggest difference that we're seeing is here at MTPS, we regard absences in one of two ways, excused or unexcused. The New Jersey Department of Education just views an absence as an absence. They don't differentiate between excused and unexcused. So we're not advocating for students to show up sick, right? If a child is sick, stay home, use all of the measures like 24 hours fever-free, things of that nature. So we're not looking for students to come into school sick. So don't get me wrong on that piece. What we're trying to prevent are things that could be scheduled outside of school hours, like doctor's appointments that, not an urgent doctor's appointment, but doctors, dentists, extended trips attached to vacations, extended leaves out of school at the end of the year. So we're looking at those sorts of things that really push us over the threshold. We're also looking to engage families a little better in terms of letters sent home. We do have letters sent home at 5 days, 10 days, 15 days regarding truancy, which could require a family member, parent or guardian to attend court, right? And if truancy charges are filed. So we do have those measures in place, but we really are looking to instill in our parents and guardians that 180 days is 180 days, and we need to make sure that students are in school, barring any illnesses or anything of that nature, but we need to make sure that they are in school at least at that 165-day threshold, and when it goes beyond that, we will be deemed chronically absent regardless of the reason. So we're going to communicate that a little better to our parents. I will bring that to the policy committee as a review of the attendance policy, and we'll move forward. We're also going to look at what other districts do, and I think we're going to look at Freehold Regional's policy. I think they're a little stricter than we are. So we'll be looking at what other school districts do. Seems like we're a little too lenient, and we need to tighten up a little bit.
Just a question, do we extract children that are on home instruction from the reporting?
Yes, home instruction counts as they're
Right, they're
receiving.
just extracted from it, yep. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, just a follow-up question. Do you do data collection around the school calendar and the holidays and the vacations that are planned? Not the vacations, the teacher conferences, the 3-day holidays. Are you doing a mapping related to the absenteeism and collecting data over the last couple of years to modify the calendar?
I don't have that data, and I haven't looked at. This is the first year we have been deemed chronically absent through the school performance report, so that's something we can certainly look at. We do have, I know from a community needs standpoint, we do observe several holidays, right? And some when those fall in school closures, we try to really accommodate. I know this board has been very good in accommodating the diverse needs of our community, and sometimes that requires school closures, and sometimes weeks are, we're in, we're out. Thanksgiving, also November's a tough one with teacher convention. So there are certain things that are out of our control, but we can certainly look at what that looks like. I know in the past we did away with a large number of the half days where we had them scattered throughout the year. So that's something we've tried to adhere to the best of our ability, but we can certainly look at trends on when students are absent. I think the biggest piece really is communicating to our families that the chronic absenteeism number does not differentiate between excused and unexcused, and there could be maybe some of our parents maybe not really fully understanding that.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Not seeing any?
Aldo Petruno, Morganville, New Jersey. I just want to start my public comment by welcoming Mr. Greg Cohen to the district. I didn't realize you were going to be here this evening. I do have a question, though, in regards to the replacement of Ms. Tierney, who retired, according to the agenda. The salary that she was making when she retired, would you be able to provide us with that number? Because I tried looking online and I'm getting somewhere around $99,000. And I'm trying to understand how we went from $99,000, if that number's correct, which is, then if you can let me know, to $123,000 when we're already facing all these, financial hardships.
Is there a question?
Yeah, what was Ms. Tierney's salary when she retired?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I know it's on an agenda somewhere.
All right. I don't know how accurate NJGov is, but it shows it at 99,000. So if that's accurate, then I'm assuming the board saw fit to give a new employee a 23% increase to start a position when she's been here, what, like 30-something years? Just doesn't really seem fiscally responsible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Petruno. Any other public comments? Motion to close public comments. Ms. Carrero, second. Ms. Dr. Miskowitz. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Thank you very much. Motion for an executive session, please. We will be going into executive session next. We have a matters of attorney-client privilege, we have a personnel matter, and we have some labor discussion. So, motion to go into executive session, please. Mr. Hyatt, second. Ms. Carrero, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Thank you very much. The board will not be coming back out for any public decisions or any public matters. Have a good evening, everybody, and thank you for being here.